so I'm going to call the meeting to order at 6:15. And then I take note that Lourdes, Kelvin, and myself are here. Okay. As are John and Isle. Oh, and Omar. And okay.
Yeah.
We got the band back together.
Yeah.
All right.
Omar's coming too.
Mhm.
We have 2 meetings at the same time.
Oh, is that what happened? Well,
So
thank
the
you.
other one, I'll catch you next time. This is-
I had one too, but I canceled.
Yeah,
Well,
I
I just didn't go.
I think we got too much stuff.
So we just called the meeting to order, so you haven't missed anything.
Thank you.
So, all right, public comments, none. Deferrals, additions, don't have any, and then new business, Grand Marshal. Okay, so Grand Marshal, we ran into some issues with that last year where we waited until the last minute and then put out a call, and then we didn't get the bio, and then it threw things off.
Mhm.
And then, I think it was okay just to have a sign that said Grand Marshal, so people knew the Grand Marshal was. I didn't think that was it was kind of on us that we waited so long. So this year, we do have a limited amount of time. The parade is in November 6th this year. It's a Sunday
Yes, it
before.
is.
Yes, sir, November 6th. Mhm. It's a Sunday before Veterans Day. And last year, we did the announcements for the Grand Marshal nominations by posting them on the town website and in the Miami Laker. But I don't think, to my knowledge, we haven't done that yet.
It was done today, actually.
Oh, okay.
So we're actually going to close off nominations Wednesday, October 26th, to not wait till the very last
Oh,
minute.
excellent. Good.
Yeah.
I've already scheduled the posts. One's went out today. We have a press release up to the registration form for the Grand Marshal, but also the general
Okay.
participant registration.
Mhm.
So that's already out.
And
Oh.
for the Laker, I reached out to them today.
Mhm.
And she said that this week's, I guess it was an issue going on this week, that's already done, so it's too late for that, but she'll push it out for October 7th is their next one.
Oh, okay.
At that point, you have like about 2 weeks to get the
Yeah.
last final. But at this rate, I calculated it's 6 weeks to get Grand Marshal nominations, which I think is still more than what we had last year.
Yeah, it is.
And
And because-
October 26th.
Yeah.
Yeah, that will give us time in case anybody, we're missing anything, we can kind of like call them and get any of those details and that you said we might have missed.
Right. And then, I'm sorry, John, you posted it on Facebook today?
It's went out on Twitter today.
Oh,
It's
Twitter.
gonna recur every other week on each platform. So next week will be Facebook, and the week after that will be Twitter again. The week after that will be Facebook again. It's alternating. But I also in the Facebook event, which is where we're in the actual Facebook event, where we're looking to maintain our events moving forward. It has that registration information. So it is available on Facebook already.
And then is there a reason why we're limited, or it's just, it doesn't have to be the centerpiece of town activities, but every other week, going out once a week on a different.
That's more so we don't have this, I guess, apathy from whoever's receiving that on their timeline, because they see it too often.
Until it gets overstated.
Yeah, and the algorithm pushes it, and again, the algorithm, it gets pushed down.
And then we talked briefly the other day about when Victoria was with us, we had to take a vote to ascribe some monies or put monies on the account so that we could pay for advertising, which was that Facebook algorithm that's apparently not free.
It's just if you want additional, like we will do our part as we do for other committees and pushing it out, but if you want to, it's only want to reach people that follow us on those platforms. If you want to reach people that maybe don't follow us in the surrounding areas, then you do a paid advertisement. Because
Okay.
there's that option on social media platforms to get it out there. So that's always an additional option. to
Okay.
push.
Yeah, because I know that the Barbara Goldman, and I think didn't you work with the JROTC, I think, right? But there was the National Honor Society and law group there, the ones that came out and helped with the flags. Miss Anna Soto said, we'd like to get an invitation. We didn't get one last year and we wanted to participate. And I said, oh gosh, that's because it's up to you. It's not a push, it's a pull, or it's not a pull, it's a push. You tell us you want to be in it. We don't invite you necessarily. I mean, we can, but, and she said,
Well,
oh,
we
I
can
didn't.
share the link.
Yeah, and she said, oh, I didn't realize. So I wonder then, would that be an instance where we could use outside of the people that follow us typically to send out, in a paid advertisement to capture, people that might want to sign up that,
Yeah, so yeah, the paid advertising could be done for whatever you want. He's doing it all in one post, both
Right.
Grand Marshal and registrations for lineup.
okay,
That's
So-
just leading up to the end of registration, and then after that, that's more, specifically just for normal participants. And then that's when we could, like,
the end of registration for the parade.
for the Grand Marshal.
Oh, for the
So
Grand Marshal.
up until the 26th, it's gonna be the Grand Marshal registration or nomination and, general participants
Okay,
into the same group, because they are linked on the same press release at the moment.
yeah,
And then after Grand Marshal nominations close, it's
okay, and I could probably speak for you guys, because I know what I'm thinking. That is, the people that participate number in like thousands. We had, how many people last year in groups? We filled up,
We had like 84 groups or something.
yeah,
Mhm.
multiple people.
show up.
And the Grand Marshal, we had, I think 3 nominations.
That's true.
to-
So,
Pretty bad.
yeah, so the fact, I mean, the Grand Marshal is important. We could probably talk about that at greater length. But I think the big effort should be on the participants and so the highlight should be on getting participation rather than looking for a Grand Marshal.
So I can give you an update, 'cause I guess at this point, we're talking about both registration and Grand Marshal, which is fine, but just so you're clear, I understand that we don't actually, we'll do our part, as we said, in strategic, in terms of communication through the platforms, as Jonathan has mentioned, to get it out there.
Mhm.
But an additional push that I did say was, I went back to whoever we had signed up from the
Oh,
parade
oh.
lineup last year, and I sent them an
Oh,
email
wonderful.
giving them the link.
Oh, good.
And I also did that for the Grand Marshal. What I did is I invited people to nominate as well,
Mm,
but I didn't do it for the parade participants. I did it to the ones that did the banners. You know, a
Oh,
veteran, so I pushed
excellent.
it out to them.
oh, that's great.
So hopefully that helps, but
Oh,
what I
wonderful.
can do is I can email Miss Anna, so I know she's very involved, so I
Yeah.
can ask her to spread the word.
Mhm.
And since you said it.
Let me, I want to capture that because I mean, like, blah, 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 then I'm going to forget what so you sent a push to the people that were participants last year.
Yeah, inviting them to sign up on the form.
Okay, that's very good thinking. That's got a new invite. And then the banner folks were given kind of first dibs on Grand Marshal.
Well, not really first dib, but they were just sent a personal.
No, but
invite.
that's a wonderful
Yeah,
idea.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, that's the community.
Yeah,
That's where it's gonna come from. So banner, folks. Okay. All right. And then where did we leave it with the advertising, paying for advertising? Is that gonna be up to us? So what do you guys think?
Yeah, it's up to the committee, you guys, I mean.
No, I
you'll-
get it.
It's
Depends.
customizable to however much. you
Like,
want.
I think we put in $200 and we got a pretty good something or other.
Or something that you can do is wait to see how things pick up the first 2-3 weeks, and then based on that,
Okay,
do like a push with dollars. That's
Okay.
just, I mean, however you guys want to do it. If you want to do it from now, you can also do that. If
Mhm.
you don't want to do it at all, because you think it's fine,
okay.
also.
Judy, what we were discussing was, we just started and,
Sorry.
yep, no. And, we were going over advertisements for the parade. And, Jonathan has some Twitter and Facebook things and he's doing it every other week on a different platform. And up until the discussion, he had Grand Marshal and participants in the same, blast. So nominate your Grand Marshal and, consider participating. And what we just discussed was the Grand Marshal is a very small part of that population, so perhaps it would be better just to highlight the participants, and then the PS postscript could be, if you want to know, and then I'll, on the back of that comment said, well, actually, I just sent everything, I sent an invite to all the people who have banners, that if they want to nominate, the people that they nominate for banners for Grand Marshal. So she's already captured, the 100 people that did that. And then the participants that participated last year all got an email invite from Isle to come back this year. So assuming, that it's all the same people, and sometimes it differs a little bit, but I would say that's probably the 80% solution. So, and then where we left it was they talk about advertising, because right now we're not advertising, so the algorithm is only addressing people that follow us, have some sense of what we're doing anyway. But if we want to expand that scope a bit, that means we'll have to put some dollars against it.
And we can also share
Yeah,
it's not
it
just to share.
helps any of you that follow us on social media, like, please share,
Oh, yeah,
send it,
always, always.
because if you don't do that, you're not helping us get in front of people.
Oh, yeah.
It
I'll have
it
my
helps the
company do it
algorithm,
too.
so.
Okay, I'm sorry. Yes, I'm sorry. I'll go ahead.
Oh, I just wanted to tell you, if you want me to print out flyers for you guys, and you also want to distribute them amongst the community, that's also an option.
Okay.
Just let me know and we can print them for you.
Can I have a digital?
Exactly, that's what I was saying.
Yeah,
Can you
digital.
send us something that I can, send out an email blast to my company?
Yeah, me too. And we'll,
Okay.
And also an
spread
invite
that.
to the committee members as well.
I'm sorry.
What can we do this year
Yeah.
to get Grand Marshal and participants for next year? Can we put one of the cars with advertising? Can we put a box that says nominate a Grand Marshal for next year's parade? Or do you want us to contact you for requesting a nomination when next year comes around?
I love the way you're thinking, because we've all talked about how we wait until the last minute and then there's a rush, to get things done. So it's good thinking, but unfortunately, we're already at a point now where we have less than 2 months before the parade. So we're kind of rushing to get it done. So I don't know the notion of actually, looking forward to incorporate people from next year. I mean, good idea, but why don't we just put it kind of on the, like a back burner, and let's address what we have to do this year so that we'll get that out of the way. And then let's talk about, whether, like you said, hey, nominate next year's,
Either
whatever.
next year, or
Yeah.
give us your information and
No,
next year we'll reach out to you.
Because if we don't change the way we do things, we're gonna constantly find ourselves,
We're in
this
this loop.
wheel, right? So that's a great idea.
So there's no Grand
Yeah.
Marshal yet?
No,
Okay.
No.
Who was the last one?
it was a gentleman by the name of Tim Daubert. And what's happened in previous occasions is the group of veterans and the American Legion guys are relatively small. And because, people don't otherwise participate, which is why these guys are involved in the community and a lot of people aren't, is people that would potentially be Grand Marshals because of their service or whatever, just don't. And they don't get involved in volunteering, they don't get involved in, so when it comes time for something like this, although there might be some highly qualified people that could give a very rousing speech, they don't, get nominated. And so we end up kind of in the same pool.
Has anybody from our committee ever been to the Grand Marshal been nominated? Are they eligible?
Yeah, they have. I mean, in fact, I think Mr. James had been a Grand Marshal one year. Gary Cardenas had been a Grand Marshal one year. Pedro Fiallo had been a Grand Marshal 1 year.
Alex was the Grand Marshal.
Pardon me?
Alex was the Grand Marshal.
Oh, yeah, he's not with us anymore, but Alex Sanchez, I think that's his name. Yeah.
Angel was the Grand Marshal.
Oh, Angel Vasquez was a Grand Marshal.
Can
Yep.
can we nominate William or?
That's what I was
not?
thinking, William
William.
Perez.
Or no, because he's,
okay.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, somebody had
He's not-
mentioned that because they said, oh, he might be, but he was the keynote speaker at the Memorial Day
yeah, he
event.
was.
And then to nominate him now in, 2 days in advance of the election, it almost smacks of a
yeah.
little,
I get it.
it almost smacks of a little bit of nepotism and, inside trading. So I would not want to do it, not because to exclude them, but because we're supposed to be apolitical, and it would be a bit unfair to,
Right. Gotcha.
I mean, whether we support them or not, that's not
Yeah,
the
yeah,
question.
that's
Yeah,
not
yeah.
a question.
Okay.
Yes, we did. Actually, that came up last year, or the year before. And yeah,
Well, they put out somebody's name on email.
no, we did. We had
You nominated, right?
Mrs. Rose Hammer. And Mrs. Rose Hammer is, and I was unaware of who she was before I got here, but she's an institution in the town. She's 103 years
Oh my
old, I
God,
think.
wow.
And her husband was a World War II veteran, and her son was a Vietnam veteran. And she, while they were overseas fighting, she was a riveteer here. And so she was, Rosie, the riveteer. So she got the nomination that year. And so, yeah, and that was the reason why, because we said, hey, this is starting to smack of a little bit of misogyny. So maybe, there's plenty of people that are qualified. Let's not always go to the same, so, yeah. So it could be anybody.
At 102, she's a great grand marshal.
Pardon me?
At 102, she's a great grand marshal.
Yeah. So, okay, can we move on to the next? Let's see, we have the agenda. So that takes care of the grand marshal. Oh, hello, Mr. Cardenas, grand marshal. Oh, and then the other point made was 26th of October is the cutoff date. That was more for 26th of October is the no later than date for the grand marshal. The other thing I had considered that, because we're in the town of Miami Lakes, relatively small town, and I thought, certainly there's plenty of deserving citizens, but are we limiting ourselves by only picking people that live in town? So, if we were to expand it a bit and pick somebody, from out of town, distinguished, is that what we want to do in a small town parade, bring in outside talent? Or do we want to, as best we can, try and keep it local? In other words, I was thinking like inviting, a 4-star general or, somebody,
It's a good idea, if I may, but that goes back to the Veterans Committee established rules in the town. Which must be lived. Be a resident, work in the
But
town.
that's to be a committee.
but that's a committee member.
committee.
Yeah.
Yeah, not the grand
Not
marshal.
have to be a committee member.
I think you're fine for the grand marshal. I think we've had this discussion. Let me double check with Terry. So, but I think it might be fine because I'm looking here in the nomination form. And the point of the parade is it's the longest running Veterans Day parade in all of Miami-Dade County. Not just like
Yeah.
Lakes. So if you want,
I
let me
mean-
go back and double check with
Yeah.
her tomorrow and I can let you know, because you're right, that would open it up. And I think that you guys have had people from outside.
Only one.
You were,
No.
you were a grand marshal, no?
Yeah, but I work here.
No, but that's,
But I mean, but yeah, that's what I mean, the whole living thing, I don't think it.
yeah, that doesn't relate. That's,
The grand marshal.
Yeah.
That's the way it's been.
yeah, that's to be a committee member, not to be the
Yeah.
grand marshal. So I thought, maybe Southcom, for example, has a 4-star female general. And I thought, when you were talking about female, so there's plenty of females that serve heroically and exceptionally. And so to always kind of go back to, the people that we know, why not invite somebody? I think, terribly successful and talented. So that was what made me think about it. And the only reason I thought maybe not is because we are a small town. And are we trying to keep it kind of small townish? Or, if we got Colin Powell to come, would we say, of course, God rest his soul. But, if we got him to, is he dead?
Yes.
Is he?
I don't know about race.
Yeah, this year.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think that's, but, if we got him, I think he'd be exceptional, and certainly we can recognize him because it's not the Miami Lakes veterans, so anyway, it's worth considering.
I'll
You're gonna
double
check.
check and I'll send you guys an official
Okay.
email, regardless of how we go about it, we can always, like, if we need to remove people, we can,
Okay.
when you guys, because you guys are the ones that are gonna choose the actual
Right.
grand marshal anyway, based on what we receive. So,
Yeah, and I was thinking about, actively inviting somebody, like, and I just thought of her because I had seen, I had heard about her and then I'd read some things and then I saw her and I thought, oh, she's a lot shorter than I thought. But I said, wow, the fact that she made it as a 4-star general, I mean, that's really something.
Well, we can invite them to,
Laura Richardson.
we can invite all the people from Southcom that want to come to the parade, to come to the parade, at least the first year.
Yeah.
And then the next year, they'll be more involved.
Okay.
That's how I got him involved in the league. You worked there. And my son-in-law worked there. So that's how we used to get on.
All right, so the next is the Master of Ceremony assignments. I think in this particular case, Mr. James, can we count on you?
Yeah, I'll just say, I'll do whatever it is, you want me to do that, you want me to do something else?
But you
Yeah.
really have that down.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, if you would rather get involved in doing something else, we don't want
I-
to pigeonhole you. But I mean, but people always talk about what a great job you do, so.
I tell them that before I start.
Yeah. And I guess that's a little bit of a ham that the theater guy,
Yeah,
but,
okay.
okay. And so last year we had an issue which we realized that, Mr. James, of course, was, he was on Main Street.
Mhm.
Actually, I should, since we're in the veteran setting, I should say Colonel James. Colonel James was at on Main Street. And we had Victoria back here, and she did a fantastic
Yes,
job.
she did.
She really was amazing. And she didn't, because we didn't have the lists of the order, because we just started throwing people in. And then she just, kind of, hey, we've got the Girl Scout, Boy Scouts. And then she looked at the number and she really kind of kept it up, and people felt good when they crossed the line because they got to hear their name. So I don't know, is Victoria's trying to?
Yeah, she's gone, but, so that was my reason for putting MC assignments. We'll get to what we're gonna do to avoid that this year, the
Oh.
whole name calling thing,
Okay.
and we'll get your feedback on that.
Okay.
But just to go back to MC assignments, so we have Charles Gaines, and he stands in the main.
Main Street. and-
Where we had Victoria was the last part of it.
Yeah, she was
you know?
right
Over
She's
here.
right over
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, because otherwise it's a long, lonely
Yeah, and some people
walk,
are not standing.
and they're all kind of, and then people are here, and so it's kind of a nice for the kids.
Yeah.
Like, they're just
And
being
so that's the
done.
last point, pretty much.
Yeah, it's right here on the
Yeah.
corner, turning the corner.
So the
yeah.
question to you guys is, do we want to still have that? I assume yes. If that's the case, we need to assign someone.
Okay,
No, we're gonna have one back.
yeah, I thought it was
Because that's
nice.
what they're
Yeah, but
coming
what we're
back with.
missing is a person, like, we don't
Yeah,
have
yeah.
Victoria and the.
Okay, but I'm
person
just
that
saying that we're
goes
gonna
The
do
other
it.
one, Christina, so we're gonna
Well,
do it
Chris, yeah, Christina's not available to do it,
this year.
yeah, so. It's just something to think out, if you have anyone that you think would,
Yeah,
would be great at that, just please
Okay.
keep in mind that we'll need to assign.
Yeah,
someone.
and so what we've done, if everybody's in agreement that it was a good thing to do, then we'll just
Oh, yeah.
say, yes, we're gonna do it again, and then now we'll work on filling in a body. So,
Yeah.
so for purposes of this, our first meeting,
Yeah.
we're gonna have two, Masters of Ceremony. Colonel James will be on Main Street, with the music and the galloping Colombian horses and the Karate Kids. And then we need an equally energetic person on the backside
Yeah.
here. Okay.
And I think it'd be good to kind of end them now to keep the marchers still, if they know their name is gonna be called.
Yeah,
keep
yeah.
them Still up.
I
And then
mean,
some people did not see them in the beginning.
Right.
And now they'll be able to be announced again right at the end as they go around.
No, I thought it was and we I think we just threw it in at the last minute.
Right.
We
Yeah.
didn't realize that we needed it, and then Victoria jumped in and stood on a box
Right,
in
yeah.
like 6-inch heels. It was
Mhm.
crazy, yeah, but she did a fantastic
Yes, she
job, yeah.
Sure did.
All right, so so the Master of Ceremonies will be James. And then that's for number one, and then we need
It's
a
only
number
one way.
two. Number two question mark, okay. Shirts.
Yes.
Oh, did you see if everybody could open up your agenda?
Yeah, there's
You'll
a-
see these marvelous looking shirts, yes.
I just gave it the proper line.
Okay,
Yeah,
well,
that's why I
like,
brought it to you
Yeah.
guys before we print them.
I will tell you that in the tip of the hat to Gary, being the commander of the American Legion. And I know that Colonel James had, lengthy service, retired as a colonel. I served for 35 years of active duty myself. And if I had that as a multiple guess test question, I would get it wrong. So I have no idea. So the only person that really has a true appreciation, probably in the entire town, is Gary Cardenas.
That's good.
So Gary, if you could just number them and then.
He did it. He did it
Oh,
already.
you did, okay, Victoria, I'm sorry, Isle
I
can
can,
address
if you
it.
guys all wanna take a look, I just wanna make sure I receive this from you so that we
Yeah.
move forward with it. So
Yeah,
if you
so-
guys wanna just
I
pass
think-
it
I think-
around and
I-
then give it to me.
I will
I'll
tell
take
you,
it
I think
out.
it looks
Where are
fantastic.
these shirts gonna go?
They go to all the volunteers, get one, and, people that participate, like as I'm sorry, actually, Isle, who's getting shirts this year?
I just, because I have my notes from last year, so I know there was an issue in terms of everybody disagreeing in pricing and if we should be giving discounts and all that, so they definitely go to the volunteers.
Yeah.
But we are not gonna be selling shirts this year.
To
How many
avoid
did
problems.
you order last year, Al? You remember? 100?
I would have to look through my.
I know there was
No idea.
some,
You might
many
want to.
left over.
This is a really nice shirt, and people are gonna wanna buy this shirt, it's really, really nice.
Yeah,
I would,
at issue last year, at issue last year, and it was, I mean, it wasn't a big deal, but it, it was just one of those little things, it was like a rock in your shoe. But I think in the end, we charged $20 for the shirts. And we paid whatever, we paid for them $5 or $10. And so there was a discussion on selling them at cost or selling them and then, using the money to benefit somebody. And so we ended up in the end going with the larger amount, and people were quite offended when they came to buy the shirts because they said, oh, I'll take the 3 shirts for the kids. And they said, okay, it'll be $60. And I said, what, $60? And so they're ready to, start turning over tables and throwing tea into the bay. So perhaps, I will tell you, myself, I think these are real, I would second what Judy had to say.
I'm ready to buy 10.
Yeah,
They're beautiful.
yeah, I think it's a
No,
thing.
here's,
Gary's the only one that knows.
recommendation.
Gary,
Okay.
what's 3 and 4? Then you got a Y going to the same circle.
No, they go from it's from left to right is
Why
army.
don't you
You
just,
have it here, right?
Gary,
Yeah.
maybe you could just write up at top,
I
just
did.
put, but just Coast Guard, Army.
It's here. It's
Oh, I know.
both-
Okay, all right.
From left to right
I
is
got
I
confused.
mean,
on
you
three.
would
Army.
for
Marines,
20, but maybe-
Navy,
I mean, I don't know whatever the
Air
cost
Force,
is. a
Coast
little
Guard
more.
and Space
Yeah, well,
Force.
we had said,
It's
yeah, we had said,
$5.
we had said, I mean, that was the discussion last year was, it's a community event. We're trying to encourage community participation. It's a fun, small town thing. Just sell them at cost and be done with it. And then, somewhere in there, we decided, no, let's sell them and make some money that we can give back. So I think the lesson we learned was that if we are gonna sell them, I mean, just my thought is that we sell them near cost.
It's $5 over, just enough to
Yeah,
put.
I don't even know that,
So if they're 10 to $15, what am I paying?
But I don't know what, do you have some sense of how much they are to begin with?
I have to
or-
look, everything, like, also keeping in mind
Probably
that
went
everything
up.
has
It's
gone
up.
up since last week, so
Yeah.
I wouldn't even expect
Anything
it, like, I would have to
Yeah.
confirm it.
Because I agree with Judy. When I saw this, I didn't even bother, I said, whoa, that's nice. And then I looked at it, what it looks like down here. I said, man, that's a shirt that I would use to, go to the gym or whatever. Whereas those other ones, I have them tucked away, and I would never wear them. They're kind of
So
uncomfortable.
I'll
Yeah.
double check.
Yeah,
And they're all small. I don't know what happened. I stuck them in the closet, they shrunk.
I gave mine to my boyfriend, he wore it yesterday.
Oh,
It was really
gosh.
hot.
Yeah,
That thing is
yeah.
hot.
Last year.
So Isle, is that-
all a loss.
So,
I'll
I'll,
double check for you guys.
could you
and
please?
Have an update for you.
yeah, I mean, I think as just kind of the community spirit and people, because all the volunteers will have them, and so I'm sure it's gonna generate interest. And Judy just said, she'd buy 20 right now,
Okay, and
So-
we'll give you guys an
Yeah,
update.
okay.
Are they, on the heat thing, are they regular cotton or are they like a blend
No,
of
they're
cotton?
regular
and
cotton.
Yeah, regular cotton.
But the other
You'll
ones
be
had
able
kind
to-
of I don't know what,
It was-
almost like polyester.
Yeah.
It was like a polyester blend. Oh my gosh, they were bad.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't bad, it was just uncomfortable.
Word to the wise. We've always had, remember, Charles? For years, volunteers always got the shirt,
Mhm.
and then the Marshal, and what happened. Happened is, morning of the parade, they were behind the registration table, and everybody and their mother came in and grabbed, no, we're volunteers, and grabbed that. Before you knew it, they were all gone, and there were people wearing shirts that didn't do anything at the parade.
And plus
Didn't do
the
anything.
people on the, like the drivers and stuff like
Yeah,
that,
like
like
the
that.
drivers,
Right,
right.
Yeah, they wanted one.
And
so,
they
okay.
all want, they said,
Yeah,
hey,
oh, but I got my wife and my son in here too.
Oh,
So
yeah.
now we have 3 shirts in that same.
Right.
Yeah,
But
We
they-
just have
they
to
would
make
come
a
in and
decision
grab-
on what we're gonna do.
Offset.
Right.
I agree.
and I'm sorry, Kelvin. Yeah.
So this year you would sell them again, right?
Well, Isle's gonna check, because originally she was saying that there was so much disgruntled, response last year that just to avoid issues, let's not even go there. But I think we're saying as the subcommittee that we are so impressed with what they look like that we have a sense that these would be snapped up like hotcakes.
Well, I was gonna say because of.
And again, I'm sorry, again, going back to the previous issue though, last year we sold them like at double the price. So maybe if we sell them at cost, then it doesn't do anything as a money-making thing, but it does perhaps encourage that community participation where you see people, with their proud Miami Laker shirt,
Or mark it up just a couple dollars.
Yeah, just
or
enough.
$2.
Put it into it,
Two.
into something,
Yeah.
so that they know it's to benefit something, which is
Yeah.
part of this.
Yeah.
We also
But that's
had
what
a
happened
problem with
last year.
how
They
we're
said
gonna
it's
pay
to
for it.
benefit. They said, hey,
Okay,
you
no,
know,
Sorry?
geez,
Do we have a
because
problem
it's,
with
you
how
know,
we're gonna pay
young
for it?
families that don't
No.
have a
Whether
lot of
you,
money.
you do
And the
a
kids
check
like,
or
oh,
whether you
give
do
them a
a
shirt.
card. Okay.
And then they left, said,
And
I
we
can't
can-
afford it.
We can do it like
So-
last year, that the ones for the volunteers were given, if I'm still gonna be in charge of the volunteers, I was giving it out to the volunteers, and
Right.
then the sales was over here by Miami. Lakes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right
the
there.
idea is,
Right.
I think
Okay.
the last year, even then, it was a little messy, and we'll
Yeah,
get into that as we
okay.
get closer. We have to determine when the volunteers are gonna come in ahead of time, which we spoke about last year, and at that time, they will be given.
Okay.
Nobody just walking in and grabbing a
Sometimes
shirt
we get a
just
lot
to
of
help.
volunteers, but they
Yeah.
just walk around and they go around and
Right.
Okay.
don't really do
Well, the
anything.
reason I was gonna ask
We
is
have a
because
log.
if you weren't gonna sell them, you can put big white letters that says volunteer.
Oh, yeah.
And then people know you work here, you know something, they can ask you a
Oh,
question.
right. Yeah, yeah. And then, of course, they would never wear it again after that, but yeah.
Yeah.
I would, yeah,
That's-
yeah, it would,
that's the
it would,
thing, that's
would
why.
I, yeah, that's not a bad idea.
Yeah, when the
actually.
volunteer work. it would-
No, but that would
They
be
would
good to
wear it.
identify the volunteers.
Right.
But we kind of give the shirts as a little perk
Right.
for being a volunteer, not necessarily to identify.
Or
them.
maybe you make 20 for volunteers and the rest without the word.
Oh.
I don't know.
Yeah, maybe something like that. I don't know.
Just
do you
so
guys
that
think?
people
I can
know
take it
that
back.
they can come up to you and ask you a question about where to go.
We
what
have to be
do.
Well, the thing
very-
with the volunteers
very
is that you
selective
have a
with
lot of
volunteers.
kids and they're not really, I do
They're
feel
not
like
gonna know.
some people don't even, you know, bother going with the kids. They feel like whatever they say, they try and go get an adult about it. It's unfortunate, but I think it ends up
Yeah.
happening, so I don't think it's right to put that pressure
But
on
you're
them
right.
either way.
You're right.
If we're also assigning them to one thing and that's all they're gonna know anyways.
Yeah, volunteers should be that one volunteer.
All right.
We
The
just
one
have
that's gonna
have a
work.
set of like
And then we have
knowledgeable
these
volunteers
children
that
that
are
you
qualified
give
to
them a shirt
answer
and they don't
questions,
want
get the
They don't
volunteer
wanna
shirt.
wear it.
We have some of the kids that don't wanna wear it.
Now, what about the issue of we charge $2 extra and then we get that money back? And then is that considered a donation, you know, for financial purposes, accountability purposes? And
Yeah.
that comes back in as a donation, I guess?
Yeah, it could go
Okay.
back to the committee.
All right. Okay. So the aisle is gonna check, so we agree as a committee that we feel that the shirts are nice enough and that the demand would be great enough that we could sell them. And do we agree that we don't want to sell them for greatly overpriced? In part because Aisle said, remember, with supply chain issues, the shirts are actually much
Yeah,
more expensive
everything.
now
Everything.
than they have been. But if anything, depending on the cost,
Depending on the
like
cost,
$2,
between $2 to $5,
$2
whatever
or
the cost
$5.
is.
Yeah, I doubt
Yeah.
that the cost would be $5 for that type of shirt.
No, we're saying
With all
add
that,
on
right.
5, like an add of
Add
5.
5.
Oh, no, yeah, but I'm not saying the cost.
Oh, I don't
I
know.
am
Would
not
that
sure.
be,
I'd
I
Probably
don't
gonna
know.
be
That would be-
$7.50.
I'd probably say
I'm
like
guessing.
$7.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or more.
How many do you usually run?
Last year we had, like,
I don't- I have no
300?
idea.
Oh, that's it? Oh, that's
I'll
a
have to
lot.
check.
That's probably, they're probably $10 each, if it's only that much,
oh, okay.
at least.
All right, very
It's really
good.
nice to
I mean,
see.
I get like 3,000.
Okay. The flag folding ceremony, I think that this year, and I don't know if this was part of the discussion with the subcommittee, but this year we had a Memorial Day ceremony, which you guys probably know, obviously in between our last Veterans Day parade. And we took out because the point was made, Veterans Day is the opportunity to thank a veteran. It's not to honor the dead. It was actually an honor the dead ceremony, which is its own standalone, which is the Memorial Day ceremony. So the fact that we kind of mix and match the two, we ended up with a Veterans Day to celebrate veterans, like the welcome home, waving flag. And then we were doing a wreath laying, folding flag ceremony, which has been a part of the tradition of the parade for quite some time. But we realized, on closer inspection that we were mixing apples and oranges. So we now have our own Memorial Day ceremony where the same ladies that actually donated the wreath for the Veterans Day stepped up for the GF. Don't be remiss if I didn't say it correctly. Pardon me?
Women's Club of Hialeah.
Pardon me?
Women's Club of
Hialeah.
Yeah, there was the Women's Club of Hialeah. But they were very gracious in providing a huge wreath for Memorial Day. And actually, she reached out to me last week and asked if she could participate. She said, it's our 100th anniversary, and we'd really like to be involved in the parade again and provide a wreath. And I said, oh, I said, that's wonderful, but I said, to be fair, that we decided the wreath laying is not really appropriate for this event. However, the home, welcome home or thank you could be or would be. And so I said, if you like, I can advocate for the wreath idea, but not a memorial wreath. It would have to be something that says, from a grateful nation or from the grateful women's club, or thank you for your service or something like that. And with that way, we could still kind of have the same impact of bringing the wreath. But I don't know if, for the purist, if that would be seen as adulterating the honoring the dead, the soldiers or Marines, airmen, coasties that have been killed in duty. Would that be seen as, we're somehow cheapening the honor of bringing the wreath to their
Let's do
grave?
something different, but something floral and something that thanks, but not a wreath.
Yeah,
I think
but
a wreath is.
part of the ceremony though is, bringing the wreath forward. And so, and Memorial Day, that's very typical.
Right, but not, it's not Veterans Day.
Right, but that's what we had been doing, but now we said we don't want to do
Let's not
that.
do it.
So do we bring a wreath forward? Even if it says thank you, it seems like it's
No,
still,
I wouldn't do it.
Yeah,
It's-
okay,
I
so
think
no.
it's wrong.
yeah, okay.
I would leave it for memorial.
Leave it
Okay.
alone.
And
I mean,
on
they
top
could
of
do something
that-
else, some other thank you thing that is there.
Yeah, and it wouldn't be a ceremony. It would just be there to say thank you.
Right,
Okay.
because
Yeah.
also, you want to shorten that ceremony a little bit. It was kind of long last year.
Yeah.
And a lot of people start leaving.
Well, that's what happened.
Like for the podium.
Well,
like,
I,
you can have
because
a
from where I was
podium.
standing, I could see a huge throng. I said, oh my goodness, this is a crazy, because I'd never seen that many people. And then, as you said, by the time we got to, 30 minutes into it, people started drifting off. So by the time we got done, 2 hours and 40 minutes later, it was like a little kid with a kite and an old guy who'd fallen asleep in a chair.
Even the, and don't misunderstand me, but even the speech from the Grand Marshal needs to be shortened a little bit. It was super long.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
I don't know.
You lose the interest of. people
Yeah.
when you
So
start
by the
reading.
time everyone, all the participants turn around here, they just keep going.
Oh, thank you.
Well,
I
we're
think-
gonna assign someone at the end of this year to tell people at the end, so I think you guys will be fine.
I
Okay,
think that was kind of a part of it too. When the last band went through, there was a lag, a little longer lag, I think, than we probably needed to start the ceremony. If we were in place,
Yeah.
once that last group, ladies and gentlemen, would you please start
oh,
coming forward?
oh, good
Yeah,
idea.
that way we might say 15, we could take 10 or 15.
because I'm never there.
Yeah.
Oh, you, by then you put in a
Right.
full day. in
Yeah.
here,
I'm talking about when the last group go through, it took us about 15 or 20 minutes or longer to get started
Yeah.
with the program.
And I can tell you that part of that was we were waiting for some of the participants that were going to be in the ceremony to come to the stage.
Right.
And so, because I was the one, I was waiting, I said, okay, where's, so-and-so, where's, representative, this person, that person, and they weren't there. Like,
Right.
and if it was one person, I would have just moved ahead, but it was several
Yeah, I
people.
know. Right.
So you have been traditionally involved with the flag folding.
I was just gonna ask you, do you want the same, you want American high school? to
Yeah,
do the
I
same?
was gonna say, I don't wanna, it's tradition and I'm kind of the newcomer.
Mhm.
But I thought that, as a military guy, I appreciate that ceremony. I find it to be moving. But, people that are not, they said it was hard to hear. They didn't really quite get the whole, I've been to funerals at Arlington and I
Oh,
said,
yeah.
wow. But I thought that in this ceremony, I said, I don't know. And I feel bad because those kids put a lot of work into it. I don't
Well,
want to
that's
discourage them.
okay if we just tell them in time. They still bring a group for the parade.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah. So maybe would we agree that the flag folding, as elegant as it was, that maybe in this setting,
Save
we
it for
can
memorial
we
with
can
the-
save it?
To me, that's.
Save it for memorial with the.
that-
Yeah.
So no flag folding
You know,
ceremony.
And I'm deferring to Colonel James because that's kind of been his baby. I
Well,
don't
no,
want-
that's no problem, because I know the young lady that doesn't, she's gonna have a group in the parade anyway.
Okay.
That would be just that'd take half of her responsibility away. If I remember, she was there by herself. She used to have a colonel with her,
Right.
but he resigned, He retired.
Okay,
She did the whole thing by herself last year.
okay.
And
So-
maybe we can let them know
Okay.
that we're gonna do it for Memorial.
Or we don't even have to, I just don't want it to be seen as we're
Yeah,
snubbing
but that's
them.
what.
Right.
It's just, we want to shorten things a bit because it was a bit
You
long.
do it.
And so that will be one of the things that we take out because it would be better served on Memorial Day.
Exactly.
Is there a flagpole out there?
There is.
How about a flag raising ceremony instead of flag folding ceremony? It's a lot faster to raise
I
flag.
think the flags are already.
Right.
Oh, they're already raised.
And I think one of the things was giving the flag to the Grand Marshal. So I think that was part of the ceremony. So
Yeah,
we could work out some kind of way to get that to the Grand Marshal. I
yeah, we
think
could
that
just
was-
have a flag already
Right.
folded and just, give it to them.
Right.
So
Yeah.
we still order the flag? then? Okay, I will order the flag.
It's the 6th,
It's the sixth.
which is a Sunday, the Sunday before.
Yeah.
Oh,
Sunday
okay.
before. Always a Sunday before.
Yeah, I thought it was the 11th too. I mean, the 12th, whatever that's.
Okay.
Are the tops gonna be, also the tops, have nothing to do with the top?
They
That's
also
not
said
needed
that
either.
no.
No, that goes,
That's
that
where
goes
I
where
figured
you
that.
Yeah.
Going. to-
We had a bagpiper this year, with the taps at the Memorial Day ceremony, but again, in discussion, we said, while it looked nice, we kind of just throw a bunch of stuff in. It's not really appropriate for Veterans Day.
Sorry, so I was thinking beer cakes.
Oh, yeah, yeah. All right, so no flag folding, and then the national anthem. So this would be no flag folding. Okay, national anthem, of course. We had, there's a short list of people that, we always tap into. And one of the questions, and that this came up at the Memorial Day ceremony, was the person that did the bagpipes came from North Miami with his full Scottish kilt and everything, with his bagpipes, older guy, drove wherever, came out here, played for, however long he played, and then, left. And I said, geez, we can't really say, hey, thanks, thanks for coming. Even though we never discussed giving him anything, I thought it appropriate to give him an honorarium just to say, thank you for coming. And so we ended up, giving him, cash, but it was, kind of like pull it out, wrote a card, on behalf of whatever, and then it was put in an envelope. So the same thing with the national anthem singers. In my mind originally, I thought it was, a young kid, 4th, 5th grader, high schooler, get them out there to sing. But we're using people that are kind of semi-professional, and we keep calling on them as volunteers, which I think is a little bit unfair to expect them to get up early, come out, get dressed, and then give a performance, and then just say, hey, really appreciate it. We'll send you a letter from the mayor. So the same thing in the past, we've given them, money, which at first I said, hey, they don't deserve any money. Then I said, no, actually, they're coming here. They're not volunteers, they're doing it. And so they got an honorarium too, but we haven't, it's not in the budget. So
Yeah,
it ends
that
up,
was-
it ends up coming out of
Okay, out of
pocket.
our-
Yeah, that was a donation from someone, it wasn't from.
No, but I'm saying we did it.
Yeah, exactly, it wasn't from the.
But I'm saying that I think
Giving them from the
going
post.
forward, I think it's appropriate because we're talking about next fiscal year with this event, that we write it into the
So you guys
budget and
wanna
say,
do an
if we're gonna
honorarium
have,
for the singer.
if we're gonna have people participate in a performance, then I think it is appropriate that we give them a little something for the effort rather than expect that they come and
We, the
perform
American
for us for
Legion,
free.
we did it. Yeah.
And what would you guys say? Like I said, and please, I would actually defer to people who have dealt with it or performers themselves. The girl singing one song, I think she was given 50 and 100 on 2 separate occasions. I thought this last time that 50 was appropriate. And then the guy that came with the, the whole gear and everything, I thought 100 was appropriate for him just because, just to cover his gas and, cleaning his uniform, he's sweating like a, so. But I don't, is that fair or is that
Thank
cheap?
you, son.
Let's
Pardon
give
me?
them a shirt.
And insurance.
50
Yeah.
for the singer? Yeah,
50 for the
Good.
singer is fine,
Yeah.
and 100 for the person with the equipment is fine.
Yeah.
yeah, okay.
And the question to you guys, because I think there was some confusion last year
And a
too,
shirt.
is the singer, do you want, I know the singer starts off the parade.
We need 2.
Do you need 2 singers or do you
Yes.
just need her in 2 instances? That is the beginning, and then I believe you wanted to use her at
Yeah,
the
sure.
end when you do a ceremony for the Grand Marshal.
Yeah,
It could be the same person.
it could be, but
But I'm
I
just
think,
asking, is that what you want to do?
well, I think it's nice to spread the wealth. give people an opportunity that if they do want to, sing and perform, it's not the same person. They can come. So 2 singers, would people say, or not?
Yeah.
This morning I found out, my wife showed me, former coworker of her granddaughter singing the national anthem. I don't know, she's maybe. She did a pretty good job. She was singing, she sang it.
Mm.
But we
Are they
have,
getting
And she said,
invited-
whenever you
invited?
guys need her to sing at the American Legion for the veterans or whatever.
Are they also
she's
getting
available.
invited to eat or no?
I'm sorry,
Yeah,
Do we?
that's fine.
who's that?
The singer. and
Oh,
the-
We can invite them to stay for lunch.
To take for lunch.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so 2 singers.
Yes,
One
please.
for the Grand Marshal ceremony, right? That's what it's called. The
One
ceremony
the
that they do
opening.
here at the end.
Oh,
Yeah.
at the,
When we open,
yeah.
and then at
the
the
close, we'll say the
Yeah.
closing
And
ceremony,
then one to start.
for
off
the opening
parade.
ceremony. Okay.
end.
Opening ceremony, closing ceremony. That way we
And
kind of
$50 each, you're saying?
$50 each. Mhm.
would you want to ask the local high schools first? Do they have somebody?
I think that's a great idea. And I agree. It would be nice if we could get a young person that, but I mean,
Exposure, it would be interesting.
I mean, in either case, it'd be nice if we make if we're saying we're gonna pay them, whether it's a semi-professional who's now, at FIU or, the high school person. It would be nice to have the high school person. But we've had issues, I think, in the past, for whatever reason, getting somebody from the local glee club or whatever. So it's nice we go to the same people, like the Miss Natalia Pies was saying at our September 11th ceremony the other day, and she had a beautiful voice. Yeah. And then we had another girl that sang for the Veterans Day. Oh, she sang for the Veterans Day and this, but the Memorial Day ceremony was a different person.
Oh, was it her?
No.
No.
And there was some people that have some beautiful voices,
That
so,
was,
but anyway, so the question is, where do we find these people? And so we only have a short list of,
Right.
people, so we keep calling the same one, but,
It's
I
up
would
to you
say
guys,
you-
but we have a contact from the local school that offers.
And-
their
oh,
help before.
although I will
Ballmer
say,
usually.
I will say that we did have somebody from one of the schools do something. And I was thinking, I said, I mean,
No,
God
it's
bless
up to
them,
you guys,
God bless them, they
whatever
did
you
it,
prefer.
they were giving it their best effort, but, I was really, I think they were playing an instrument, and I thought, oh my goodness, this is,
So you guys just,
yeah, it was kind of, those missed notes and.
Touching in a different way.
One of the events that we did, I just remember thinking, ugh, it's nice to give them an opportunity, but the hope would be that they're good, and if you're getting somebody, you don't necessarily know how good they are.
so it's
It's
the
on
idea
their
that I
teacher.
don't cut them. I just want to make sure that we're all.
Yeah,
confirming
what do you
we're
guys
doing.
think? My concern would be that sometimes you get somebody who, thinks it's a great idea, then they get out there and, it's like when I pushed my kid out there in kindergarten with his Woody outfit, after going over, how he was gonna dance like Woody.
Mhm.
Oh my goodness, he just,
Well, they can do like, they can send a demo, they can send a demo recording and make sure it's good to
Yeah,
hear up the
you-
car, no?
So
yeah, I
will-
mean, it's an idea, but we have 6 weeks before the parade,
That's easy
so.
to fix the dress.
So will you guys go from your list? and
We'll probably go with our
from there?
list, if that's, I mean, and unless anybody has somebody, I know some people know performers and the people that sing and just, sing the national anthem, so if you wanna reach out to them, yeah.
Christina
Okay, lunch-
Aguilera, I think she did it for the national football.
Who's that?
Christina Aguilera.
Pardon me?
Christina
Oh, there's
Aguilera.
Yeah,
Italian,
yeah.
Italian.
I don't know.
Yeah, she's
I don't know. We-
kind
yeah.
of my neighbor.
You wish.
Yeah, so
Yeah, she is. Really? She lives there, yeah.
Mission Barbecue did the luncheon in years past, and we've kind of keep going back to the well because they're veteran friendly. And I think they gave us, we paid for it last year, but they gave us a
I think we
discounted,
paid for 100 and they gave us.
like 150 or
Yeah,
something.
yeah, they give us an extra.
And it was really good.
It was.
Yeah.
And it kind of was in theme because it was
Right.
veteran,
They're their own.
Yeah.
their own-
And let me tell you, they're really good when they come out to your events.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
went to the restaurant.
No, I live next to the restaurant,
uh,
5 minutes away.
So luncheon,
Yeah.
Mission
I
Barbecue?
feel better
Yes,
than
please.
there than there.
Speaking of last year, you guys, I have notes here that you wanted to do more, and you guys said that we should have a little more lunch than what we had. Does that remain the same?
That's what I thought, I think, but in the end, I think they left with nothing, but there wasn't people coming in with, and not being
Well,
able to
No, this is
eat.
my debrief notes.
Oh, it was,
So,
oh, okay.
I just want to confirm what the feeling is
But
here.
there, but there was, with that, we wanted something more
They
than,
wanted a little bit more in terms of amount.
amount, okay, all right.
But no, I mean, you guys are here.
But that's the comment that we made as part of our debrief.
That's what I have here.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think so, because towards the end, there was a lot of people that were eating a half because there was not enough.
Yeah.
And this is just. for
So
the
order
volunteers.
150 and get
Um,
75 for you. So
it's for
225.
the veterans. It's for veterans and then it's for veterans and then somehow the guys that have the vintage vehicles,
Right.
they always eat. And I guess they've been driving in the parade for 20 years and every year they get a free lunch. So they said, hey, we got a free lunch. It's kind of our payment for bringing our vintage vehicles. Yeah, okay.
Before you guys decide on numbers, something to think about, we can do, I know we talked about it last year, but we talked about it very late in the game. Do you guys want to do food trucks for the people that are not veterans? Like, do you want to have food trucks posted outside so people have options to buy from or no?
Yes, I think that would be
I
a
think
good
that's a
idea,
good idea.
especially like selling
It may keep people from leaving.
Yeah.
What about like booth vendor setups from? our
Yeah,
local
exactly.
Yeah.
They're food trucks or
For them,
veterans,
yeah.
yeah.
the vendor,
Okay. Food trucks.
Put 'em right-
It's
right in here at the end of
high,
the- end of the
and
parade,
everybody's
right.
looking for water.
So.
For drinks,
Yeah.
not too high.
Truck, food trucks, yeah.
Believe it or not,
Selling
it is.
Huh? Ices.
Okay, we'll work on that.
Frost.
And then Mission Barbecue for the regular
Yeah.
veterans lunch.
Yes, please.
And for
And
the-
if we
Just let
did
me
one,
know,
if we did
the-
150 last time, or we paid for 100 and got 150,
That's
maybe we look at
150.
150 and
Get
with the hopes that we
75.
can get 200.
Yeah.
We'll pay for
Or
150.
225
And get 75 free.
Yeah.
And get half free, yeah.
Or you
That's
we just
anyway.
invite people that are on the.
The only thing is that keeping in mind that that room only fits, even with the 125 last
Yeah,
year, that
so
was
many.
pretty packed. So
Okay.
unless, I don't know if you guys want to do it like in.
Yeah, I think what happened was people
Yeah,
ate,
yeah.
and then with the idea you eat, and then but people were
Well, no, they have
socializing.
tape-
and-
Yeah,
Yeah,
kind of.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know how you
Cool,
guys
yeah.
want to handle that.
Okay. Well, we'll look at dressing, but for now, Mission Barbecue,
Okay.
an extra 50, and then with the hope that we can get some added
150
amount
to-
thrown in, okay?
What if the food's already set up? Like they come in and you just give them the.
Oh,
Like a box meal ready to go.
yeah, that's a good idea.
And then
Because
you
there was
have
a
to go
bit-
person by
Keeping
person,
in
you know, the
mind-
rationale.
There's
No.
always
And
additional
it's
costs
faster.
when you're
Oh.
doing individual packaging, but I can ask them, maybe they don't need it.
Do it.
Yeah.
Hey, what
There's
about
another,
this?
there's another vendor who does it.
Yeah,
The one that was used for the April 2nd event.
yeah, no, I
For the
was,
fishing,
right, right,
Or we
okay,
can just form a
But-
volunteer group that packs them.
yeah,
that's like about $6.
I mean, I can ask, maybe they don't need the packaging, you know?
yeah. The, working with the, your elderly affairs committee?
No.
No?
He's just elderly.
Are you, Charles?
No.
I worked with, the elderly affairs
Yeah,
committee with Dottie Wicks.
Yeah,
yes,
yeah,
And we were, maybe for about 8 months during the kind of right after COVID. And she would, with her committee, go to various restaurants here in town, local owned restaurants. And then they would pack up the meals and she would get like 200 meals. I'm sorry, 125 to 150 meals. And then the people would pull up in the car and they would already have them packaged with, just what you're saying, Kelvin. Then just we'd pass them through the window and they would drive off. And so it was a very good process. And that allowed us to use people that own businesses here in town rather than bringing in the, people from outside the town. As gracious as the Mission Barbecue people have been, but there's that other barbecue place.
Like,
La Traila.
Mhm.
Yeah, so it's over there by the Starbucks on the
They
other.
joined us for 4th of July.
Oh, okay. They were with the 4th of July?
They were
thing?
one of the vendors for 4th of
Oh,
July.
okay, but I'm saying if we contact them and I remember Dottie said that the meals were typically about $6 a piece.
I'm the liaison for elder care. So
Oh,
it depends-
hey,
It
okay.
depends on the restaurant.
All right,
It depends on the restaurant. We've had as cheap as 6 and we've had as expensive as like 18.
okay.
So it really depends on.
But
the
that was a nice barbecue place and they did a very nice little package. And if they could come and set up here, I mean, it might
So
be
you
worth.
want to reach, you want me
Yeah.
to reach out to them instead of
Okay.
mission?
Yeah, what do you guys think?
Even
I mean,
Catalana.
We've been going with what we know and it's because it's been easy with Mark, and they've been good to us, so let's not discount that. But if it's a small town event, why not use the small town, folks that live here and have them provide, if we're gonna give money to somebody, we can give
Just
money to
keep in
these
mind
people.
that if it doesn't work out and if it's not as good as Mission,
Yeah.
they might not feel so nice about us leaving them out because they probably expect to come back. And then maybe next year. if
Well,
wanna
can we invite
randomly
Mission in a
might-
different way? I mean,
Well,
they
I'm
can
just
still
saying-
Well,
participate
they're always a part of the parade as well.
Right.
I remember
with the
that.
trucks.
With the
Yeah.
trucks.
So they're still not gonna be left out, and you just tell them that we're trying to not, what do you call it, monopolize.
Show up if they're
Yeah.
provided.
We're trying to not monopolize, we
We're trying
we
to
like
spread
them,
it-
we
we're
want
spreading
them,
the
but
wealth a
we're,
little
but we're
bit.
trying to not monopolize it, and, perhaps they can come back next year, and then we can,
Or not even
Leapfrog.
address it. I mean,
Yeah,
because we reach out to them and do a contract and then we
Yeah.
pay them and they come, or we just reach out to somebody else. But the
So
other,
I'll bring back the options from them next time. then.
or you still, we're gonna have two vendors.
and then, oh yeah, that's the other thing we could do. We would just ask for pricing and then go with, the one that's less expensive perhaps.
And one could be on the street as a vendor selling to the public,
Yeah.
so they both get money.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're
yeah,
right.
right. But I like Kelvin's idea that we package the meals and people come into and just get a,
But then the idea is that
chicken
they're
or
not
fish.
sharing there, they're not eating there.
They could eat there,
Yeah,
but
but-
there was a long line because they were,
Okay.
having to, put in beans, chicken. Oh, no, I don't want the
Okay.
chicken. What is that?
Yeah, and it
You
would
just-
take long on the line.
So you just get it, either chicken or fish,
Okay.
whatever,
I'll get,
vegetarian.
I'll get a pricing on individually packaging.
And-
From La Traila.
And you're the elderly affairs, so there was more than that restaurant when we hit.
No, yeah, they use
Yeah,
different
and you did,
ones
I
all
guess
the
you're the one
time.
that set it all
Yeah,
up.
yeah,
But
they use different ones all the time.
well, what about that Brazilian place that's over by,
Lucedos?
pardon me?
Lucedos?
Yeah, that one. What
You-
about
you
them?
want me to reach out to
Yeah,
them?
could you please?
It's gonna be expensive.
The trailer makes sense too.
Yeah,
Yeah, the trial is expensive.
They're way
Yeah.
more than Mission.
But Casablanca-
We'll just get both
So
quotes,
quickly
like that you
they
guys have
get-
options. They don't-
Casablanca did
Okay.
also for the April 2nd.
okay, all right.
And they did.
Yeah, we use them.
So, we're gonna go with local vendors and we're thinking barbecue. So not like,
Well, then if it's barbecue, not, like Lucedos isn't really, I mean, it's meat,
Yes,
but it's not
yeah.
barbecue.
well, I'm just saying, meat, I guess I should have said. I'm thinking,
Okay,
eating
so
with
I'll get
fingers.
both.
I think you're making.
They have those little
Too late for me.
salchichas and
Yeah,
then
yeah.
chicken
Okay.
wrapped, whatever.
So I'll bring those quotes.
So,
back
so
for
local,
next-
local
for the
vendors,
next meeting.
okay,
Yeah, the problem with that is we have to have,
yeah.
how many people are eat chicken, how many people.
Yeah. So we canceled taps and the wreath, or that we canceled taps,
Mhm.
yes, and then the wreath is, perhaps we can get, as Judy suggested, something a little bit lighter, not a wreath, but
Something for the
a
podium,
spray
something
or
on the
something.
podium, something that makes the podium look good.
Something that doesn't remind you of a funeral.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, so it wouldn't be a
Red,
wreath,
white, and blue.
No.
so something other than a wreath.
Yeah, red, white, and blue.
Red, white, and blue.
I was gonna say camouflage, but that's just a bunch of leaves.
She was really, she said, she really, and then last year we gave them the opportunity to speak,
Right.
which I don't know, I mean, and I thought she did a good job.
Agree.
Unfortunately, it was at the end, by then, a good portion of the people had left, but if they provide the wreath, that they get a chance to speak, because those people are actually gonna be donating much more than the wreath. But it's just that it's a small local group and, they've reached out in a proactive way rather than us going to them. They came to us and said, we wanna be part of this.
Well, now that TAPS is gone and Folding
Yeah,
Flag
we
is
got
gone, we made a
time.
minute or two here for
Oh,
that.
that's-
Oh,
I think so.
Okay. So, yes, a wreath or a flower,
A
floral arrangement,
Maybe around the podium.
okay? Floral arrangement. And then,
So who will be reaching out to confirm that floral arrangement?
I can do that.
Okay.
And to be fair, what I should do is I can provide her name and contact information to the group so that, when I'm not here, whoever's doing it will know, okay, this was kind of what we did in years past. Because eventually it's gonna happen.
Put it in the binder.
Yeah, put it in the binder, the electronic binder. Okay, floral arrangement. Instead of a wreath, all right, the program, Jonathan, I think that's where we call on your expertise. Did an excellent job with the,
Loved it. Yeah. it was really-
with the Patriot Day. This was our Veterans Parade one last year, which I guess they're all fairly similar in design, right?
I'll take that if you don't mind.
Pardon me?
At the end of this, I'll take that and we can
Am I gonna get it back or?
Well, there's.
No,
there- we
I
have-
already-
I
you
have-
already owe me
I have
two.
conversations.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have that in file, so I can share with you guys, but, with that, whoever, we have to task someone to work with Jonathan in terms of laying out how we
The
want the
order.
order,
The order of
exactly, the order
ceremony.
of the ceremony to go.
All right, I can do that. Unless somebody else would have a desire to jump in and do that.
You
I will
want
jump
to-
in, but I don't know what.
Okay.
You want the order from last year?
Well, it's making sure, because it's not the same as last year, right? Now we're not doing wreaths, and we're not doing taps or the flag.
We're not doing the
ceremony.
flag flying. We're
It's
not
just
doing,
confirming
we're not
details
doing
so
the
we don't
taps. And
miss
then the
anything.
wreath was a wreath laying ceremony. So that took a little bit of time to kind of walk it forward. Now it's just already
It's
gonna
gonna
be
be
up
there.
there. Yeah.
So my only deal with the order is the cars. Because the cars
No,
park
no,
in
sorry,
Well,
the
the orders
program
are-
is just
they're
for
the
the last
agenda.
part of the
Oh,
ceremony.
got it.
Yeah, yeah, this isn't for the parade.
But the order.
Yeah, that's the lineup is coming.
Yeah, the line. is something.
So program, I'll work with you, Jonathan. Thank you, Judy.
Last year, they mentioned about putting the program, being able to get it on your phone.
Okay.
Do we want to do that this year? Is there an advantage to that?
Can we do both?
Free?
Because I'm gonna, I like to have something in my hand, but that's me. I know that, I don't think my kids don't do anything with.
We can look into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like
It doesn't cost
I like to
anything
hold
do it.
on to them,
The
but.
QR, yeah.
Sponsorships,
I'm working on a sponsorship package, so I'll share it with you guys as soon as I have it. In the coming days, I'll share with all of the veterans committee and you guys as well. So, and the only thing I want to mention about sponsorships, we are trying to be a little more organized, and not just with the parade, just in general with all the committees, because there's a lot of events going on. So just make sure, I think in previous years, we've gotten used to anybody just going out and confirming, which is totally fine, but it needs to be brought back to our department. So you do not consider a sponsorship confirmed, like do not tell an organization they are confirmed until it's been confirmed with us. So like that, well, first of all, we don't have any crossover in case we need to avoid any crossover in types of organizations. And just to make sure that we can deliver on what we're telling them, that we're giving them as assets as part of their sponsorship. So that's the only thing I ask of you guys. You're more than welcome to go out and speak to any organizations you may know that want to be a part of this, but just make sure to keep us in the loop of that. That's all.
okay.
And I'll share it with all of you once it's ready.
One of the.
And then I'm sorry, go ahead, Larry.
Our American Legion Post European should have, for the first time in the history of the parade, a float for the veterans. So,
So we just have to make sure to put them in the front,
I
right?
was about to say, after our parade last year, I saw outside of my window in Plantation, the city of Plantation had their Veterans Day parade, and it was all floats. It's the city's pickup trucks, like landscaping or whatever, with the floats are just like where you put they're just like, I don't know, they're open wood floor with the rack in the back. Yeah, I guess where they put the.
I'm
this
sorry,
company-
just for the sake of this, so we're done with sponsorship, right? 'Cause that
No,
was
no,
my for
no,
rent.
we're not actually.
I don't want to
Excuse
put
me.
you guys off, I just want to make sure we get through
Just to
those.
give you an
The-
idea, so you know,
Mhm.
everyone knows, the float.
No, but we're gonna address that with the
together for us.
vehicles.
No, they assemble, it's 30, up to 30 people. AC on, AC off, for those who can't walk the parade, so the veterans who can't walk. They bring it in, they decorate it the way we say for them to decorate. And they bring it in, they drive it to the parade, and then they take. it
We
over.
only have.
Kyle, the sponsorships, what are the levels? And because I
They're
know,
gonna go based off of last year's,
Okay.
unless you guys have any suggestions
but
for.
I was
seeing a little
confused because,
different.
and I remember we talked about like gold, platinum, silver, and then it was,
That's the
top.
issue we've been having, not just with veterans, just in general, that there's been a lot of, oh yeah, we'll bring you in for whatever amount, that's what we don't want. We want to make sure it's perfectly laid out so that there's a clear distinction in levels, so
Yeah.
that there's value, so that people are saying, okay, yeah, it is worth it to pay this
Yeah,
amount
right.
to you. So
but
that's
did,
the idea of.
did we
laying
do it
out.
with a gold, like gold, silver, bronze? Or did we do a top tier?
Yeah,
Yeah, it could, because it,
I don't think we had a title, but we had the gold.
Because it was
silver, kind of
confusing.
like this.
it was, because it didn't, I
It
mean,
didn't match.
it didn't match, I think.
Okay,
And-
I mean,
and in
we've seen other
in-
things
In one
also.
event, we called it one thing, and in another, we
Well,
called it
it
something
is gonna
else.
be different per event. If you can't, not all events are created the same way. The parade is huge. We're not gonna compare that to something like, I don't know, that a smaller event.
Mm.
It-
But I mean, the top, like say, for example, I'm just using the Olympic medals, gold, silver, bronze. gold will always be the top level.
Right,
And
right,
so if
right.
you're a gold in the Miss Senior thing and it's got, $5,000.
But that's the thing, the amount
That-
might
the amount-
change.
Yeah, the amount will
But-
change,
but it will
but
be in
top
that
tier will be
order.
gold.
Yes,
It'll be
yes,
the
yes.
same order.
Or title might be
Yeah.
above that,
Okay.
depending on the event. But you're right in terms of the.
But instead of like
The
a
amount, it's the
platinum
amount what the
and then
permit
a
is.
It should be
titanium,
in the
and a
sense that
crypto.
whatever is the highest value
Yep.
is the highest name for it.
But
But
could
what
we-
I can do is I should share it with you, and if you see any weird
Yeah,
thing in it, just let me know and we'll fix it.
okay. In other words, can we maybe standardize it across all the committees?
For the
No,
most
Judy,
part,
you're
we
saying no?
try to, but some events are just different,
There's some
so
that are
I do
huge,
not,
some that are
yeah.
tiny.
Yeah.
No, but I'm saying that a gold and one event might be $500 would be the gold. And then in the big event, it might be $10,000.
But some events we have title sponsors, for example.
Yeah.
We're not gonna do that in a small one, so then you're already going different, because the title is the higher in here and the
Yeah.
gold is the higher. in
Okay.
Yeah,
there.
like the race.
So it's never gonna be
That's what it is.
equal
Okay.
because of the event.
I just,
The nature of the
mean,
event.
I was looking at it, I would get confused, and I'm thinking if I'm an outsider looking at it, I would be very confused, and I wouldn't be quite sure to have to read, okay, what am I getting?
No, they do have to read though, because that's
And
what's gonna,
everything's really clear, like, you sent me
yeah,
the
they need,
reindeer
that's
one,
kind
it's
of what we're
nice.
trying to
Yeah,
do for the
It was
for the
good.
veterans.
Okay.
I mean, for the parade one.
Registration for the parade lineup, that's where we turn it over to these two gentlemen, Omar and Kelvin, the institutional knowledge, so, what do you guys have to say about that?
Oh, the only thing I would like to have, because what happened is, at the time of registration, it was not in alphabetical order. So I had to go through, like two
Oh,
pages to
yes,
find
yes,
out, can we put in alphabetical
Yes,
order
of
so that we
course.
can boom, click right?
This is what it looked like when they
Alphabetical
start
order.
signing up.
Something I want to mention, speaking of, because I know you guys had a hard time last year, and I think part of it, and I may be wrong because I wasn't there with you when you started checking in people. Anybody that comes in and we all need to follow this because I think we're making it more difficult for registration than it needs to be. Anybody who did not sign up has to go to the end. There is
Yeah, that's
no
why we used to
and
do.
if or buts
Yeah.
about it. I think
No,
last year we
That's
were
the
like
last-
allowing it. and I
Yeah,
think that's what
I
threw
wanna
things up.
be behind so and so and so.
No.
Yeah, we can't.
Now, I just wanted to address things from the debrief that I have here. The council throwing you guys off because they wanted certain cars or whatever.
Really?
Unfortunately, we cannot tell council that they cannot get the car that they want. They are allowed to. What we can do is not put the decon, give it to them and they walk up to the car and that's how they choose it. I think that would avoid you, but at that
That-
point, you wouldn't have to move the car. The
That
car is
was
there.
that was
That was
a,
a big problem.
that was a major
Yeah, but all
major issue.
those Cars have to come out first.
In terms,
Or last.
what do you mean, like they all have to come together, right?
Because the
Six,
thing is
seven
that
cars?
whoever's in section one lines up in front of those cars. Like there's a band and a cheerleader and everybody lines up in front of those cars.
So
and
the
cars
cars are the
parked.
last part of section one.
The last part of section one, so that by the time the cars are coming out, there's nobody there.
They're the last ones.
Because we had to keep moving cheerleaders and band, there were like 40
But
students
why
that we
did
had
you
to
keep
move them
moving?
around.
I'm sorry.
Because the cars are parked on the parking spots.
We-
And these people are lining up in the middle, right in front of all the cars.
Yeah.
And
And they
if
shouldn't
if the
be,
cars are
you're
going
saying.
out before these people, okay, everybody gotta move to the left, so this guy.
No, so-
But then
everybody
it's a
moves to the
matter
right,
of
so this
just
guy-
lining up those band and cheerleaders
No,
somewhere
no,
else.
What happened was the parking lot was filled, say, assume that this is the parking lot and we are the cars. This parking lot was filled with that first section of people, the band, the cheerleaders, which was filled all the way to the back, so there was no room for the cars to get out because there was people there.
Got it.
And so what we did was we took the placards and originally we were gonna go, okay, the mayor goes here, council member on this side, council member, here. But what ended up happening was there was a command decision made at the last minute and the magnetic signs were taken out of our hands. And then they were given, go pick your car. And they said, hey, I don't, just put me wherever, I don't care.
No, I thought you told me that they did want to pick their car.
No, they didn't. I could tell
Some
you,
do and some
no,
don't.
none did.
No.
Well, there was one person that did, and it doesn't really matter who. But what ended up happening was it threw off the entire,
I
because
think because you have the people in the way.
the people were in the way and every council member that came up said, put me wherever. And there was one person that made the command decision to, no,
Change them around.
I'm gonna go put them, this person's gonna go here, and then, and then people will walk, oh, I'll take this car, not realize, and it was the last car, and so now we're telling everybody.
So my
Here's what
question-
happens though. sometimes you have the Jeeps that fit the whole family, and sometimes you have the little convertibles that only fit 2 people. And those are the people that are picking cars. Hey, I brought my family, I
But
need a
the
bigger car.
Last year, we did have convertibles last year, didn't we? We
No,
only had the Jeeps.
we had the
last year.
Jeeps.
Only the Jeeps.
Yeah.
Last year.
What ended up happening was, and again, it doesn't matter who, but
Yeah.
the problem was that we had a plan, and the plan was that we're gonna go in and take, council member, and go car 1, 2, 3, and then council member, car 1, 2, 3. And then when the people came out, those cars came in right behind them. However, a decision was made that then mixed up everybody. So it was council member and then nobody, and then a council member, and then a council member in a car way back there. Instead of just going with the first 3, they were all mixed matched.
Exactly, you're right. That's what he's saying. All cars should be together. There shouldn't be car, people, car. And my question is, why did that happen if we had agreed that there's no people in the first group? We said cars only,
No,
right?
the
I believe we said that cars go first.
No,
to
because
avoid
that
any
parking lot
danger.
was filled with
For that
people.
very same reason,
There
to
were cars
avoid
everywhere.
anybody
The
getting hurt.
people, the parking lot was, you might remember, were you there on that area? You were
I
on this
wasn't in
end.
that area, no.
The parking lot, there's so many people in the parade that there's only so much room to
So
put them.
maybe we divide the park, and I don't
It
know,
is.
because I know, we divide where people go versus where cars
Well,
go.
whoever's on section 1, the people should go first and the cars should go.
I thought that we just weren't gonna put them together, people and cars separate. To
No, but we
avoid-
don't have
No, no, no,
space
they
to separate
follow-
them.
they
When they
follow
come
the
out,
people, the cars follow.
The cars follow the people. That way, by the time it's time for the cars to get out, there's nobody there. 'cause
Nobody there,
But-
except
section
the
1
cars.
flow
but the
out.
way we did it last year is we took the elected officials first, and they were all mixed in alongside the
Yeah, there were
people.
cars in number
And-
30, there were cars
Well,
in
would it
number
be
40.
easier
there
then,
was-
since it was too much, would it be easier to just have the cars go first, the elected officials?
What I would tell you what would make it easier was if we had just taken, because the elected officials didn't care.
Okay,
Every single one of them, because I was a guy with the magnetic signs in my hand, and I picked up a group of students. I said, hey, great guys, go ahead and take this one, just go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And then a decision was made, a staff decision that no, they were gonna take out the council members and then
but
they,
that was for the reason because a council member requested it.
yeah, but I'm saying,
You get me? I don't think
it might
the
have been
decision
one-
was made just because we decided to move
Mm.
person's car. It was made because
No.
it was brought to us that the council member wanted.
I know
those
that,
cars.
I know because many of them showed up kind of last minute and
Mm-hmm.
they said, hey, what, wherever, and I said, well, you can pick, and they said, no, I don't want to pick, you just tell me where to
I
go.
can't remember who, but I can promise you that I got a message that day
Yeah.
that somebody wanted a specific.
Yeah,
car. don't
I
remember
can tell you,
So for that
I can tell you
reason-
who as well, but it's not that it
No,
matters.
yeah,
Yeah.
but
I'm just
for
saying to
that
avoid the
reason,
problem.
To avoid that, I think we should let them take their car, because it's only 6 cars, it's A, B, C,
No, but
D, E,
the
F,
problem is
doesn't matter.
they're not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's 30 cars here and 30 cars on this side. We're
Because
all
what
waiting,
other
There were
cars
like
are going
26.
here?
all
there were
waiting to
26 or
join the
28.
parade. And when you skip, in other words, we had lined it up, so we go this car, this car, this car, following it in a procession, but then they jumped and it was no longer in a progressive fashion. And so you ended up with a car
Car
that's
number
8
1 was
cars
way in the
back.
back.
And so
car
he
number
had to
So
2
try-
here's
here, car
here's
number
why
3.
the numbering, I think, is what's throwing us off. So part of what I wanted to mention. That whole thing of people and the list being off because they got switched last minute and everything, we don't have to deal with that. I think we can internally determine how we want them to order, they want them to go, as we did last year. But when it comes down to it, whoever is coming by is whoever you're calling. The person needs to have a sign. We're gonna ask for everybody to bring their own sign this year, because it's not fair for somebody to be going through a list while they're sitting up on stage trying to figure out who's who and it being out of order. Right? Like if my name is Io and it doesn't matter if I'm first or fifth, my name is still Io. At the moment I cross, it's Io that's passing by. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
And with that said, what
There
can
was
we do with
one
the
company
elected
that wanted to
officials?
be in a different order because they were part of the same group. I think they were like the karate and then they had the little kids.
But they
the little
have
But
to
kids-
say
then
that.
now you're talking about
Yeah,
section
yeah,
3
yeah,
and 4.
yeah.
We're
So
talking
how
about
can
section
we fix
1.
Group 1 was always saying,
Section
how
one.
can we fix that then?
So-
What is
yeah. So this was section 1. I'm sorry. I'll
No,
defer to
no,
you.
no,
I'm gonna say, so this was section 1, and it was honor guard followed by the grand marshal, followed by and then the grand marshal wanted the
Honor guard
Marines.
is on foot.
The
Grand Marshal's
the
in
grand
the
marshal
car.
wanted the Marines, and they were in this separate section. We said, I want to be with the Marines. So that started the,
But that's exactly what we can't do. If we start allowing, the second you allow, the only people that can take their cars is council. Like, that's what we're determining right now, because, well, they're council, I can't tell them no.
But,
But
well,
we should not be telling groups like, oh, you wanna switch now last minute? All you're doing is throwing yourselves off and causing chaos that I feel is unnecessary. I don't think we need to go through that.
mm,
If they
Well,
come
the thing-
last, or if they didn't require, because I had groups reach out to me, hey, I wanna be next to this group. If you tell us in advance, we can create that, right? But if you come last minute, you have to go to the back. I can't move
this
everybody
is,
around. just
this
to
is what I
accommodate one
remember now
group.
what happened. I apologize. What ended up happening was this was the order of the mayor, followed by the vice mayor, followed by council members, followed by state representatives, et cetera. And what ended up happening was the order was the mayor was gonna go first, then Vice Mayor Cayazzo, then council member Josh Dieguez. That was how we had it in the
Okay.
program for Colonel James. And then what ended up happening was, for example, anyway, it doesn't matter who, they said, oh, I want this car right here. And that was council member Tony Fernandez. But the way we had them coming out was that was gonna be the mayor, the vice mayor, the
But
second.
because you were following that script, right, that we had given him,
No,
we didn't
the-
wanna throw him.
No,
I mean, we were
they,
following-
because we put all of these in order like this. And
But I'm
so,
saying, but the reason for putting it in order, is so we know who's coming through the lineup.
right,
right?
and we,
But now
no,
if we
but
don't
not
do
only
that-
that aisle, it's where we put them in the parking lot. Because
Right.
each one of these sections is a separate area in the parking lot. The people that are in the back, he's got these folks with the big vehicles that are on the
So
road.
I think we should still designate people to groups, as you guys normally did, but we don't have to stick to the numbers, all I'm saying, because if
No,
you
we-
have a
no,
sign.
No, we do have to stick to
You
the,
have to.
because the thing is that if you have, let's say, the marching band,
Okay.
and then the person, one of the council members, number 3, pick the car that's back here. Now you gotta move 30 kids out of the way so that car can come out as number 3. Versus, no, the car number 3 is the third one in the parking spot.
Yeah, that's
We're
what
not
happened
moving
last
40
year.
kids,
Yeah.
so you can pick a car, that's all the way back there because you want to
By,
red.
by giving them the
I think you
discretion,
and I are gonna have to, because I don't, maybe it's
Yeah,
because
you're
I'm
not
visually,
seeing
I'm
it.
not
Yeah,
seeing
yeah.
it.
No.
But
Trust
my,
me,
but
it's a
my
mess.
whole
I think
point,
we can move the marching band away from the cars.
yeah, but I think.
we can't, I mean,
even from the-
we don't have the space for it.
They have
no.
no room.
Yeah,
I mean,
this
that
is-
whole row is filled with, you can't
The
even get a
only-
car through there.
The only 2 ways to fix that is either you stick to the first 6 or 8 cars in order.
Yeah,
If you're number 1 through 8, you're getting one of the first few cars.
yeah.
That's.
Well, that was the
that's gonna
plan.
Go out
That
in
was the
front
plan.
of the
That's the
marching
way
band,
it was.
because then they're not interrupted by
Well-
kids standing in front of the
well-
parking.
Well, yeah, the car should just go separately from walking people anyway.
No, but what we had with those Jeeps was everybody came, they parked them, and it wasn't only section 1. So that we had whatever, 8 Jeeps that were gonna
Mhm.
transport the VIPs. But then we had a number of other vehicles that were gonna be transporting the beauty queen, we're gonna be transporting, the Grand Poobah. And so when they came in and started, and we said, okay.
Oh, I get you. So group 4 was picking from the cars that were already lined up for group 1.
Yeah, right, yeah,
That's
basically.
Well,
just
we
that.
can't do
That's
that.
just
No,
that.
but it
You're
wasn't us, it
picking
was
cars
the
that
only-
lined up
the
for
only
one
ones
in
that
the
did it.
front.
The only ones that did it were the,
That's exactly, but that's
no, but the only
exactly
ones
the
that did it were the
solution.
council members.
No.
Everybody else was in
Council-
order.
But that's what I'm saying. So
So we had like 30 Jeeps, and we said, okay, council members, you get 1 through 5 on this side, or 1 through 5 and 1 through 5, 6, 7, 8 on this side.
okay.
And then somebody said, no, you can't limit them to just these. I said, well, yes, we can. That's the only way. They said, no, they should be able to pick. I said, but they can't, because we don't.
So then they-
And then they said, no, they're gonna pick. And then they took their placard and went all the way to the
Then I
back.
feel like then the only solution, and maybe I'm wrong, maybe I we have to think about it some more, but I think the only solution would be then, okay, then if you want the back car, that's fine, but now I can't just move your car to the front, you're gonna have to stay
No,
in the
that's
last
still
group
gonna be
section.
chaos.
You get what I mean?
No, because but it was only the council members. It was
But that's
nobody
what I
else in
mean,
the
if
parade.
we assign you, no, yeah, we definitely cannot let everybody else, like, that's.
I'm saying that the
Yeah.
council member picked the Jeep that
That was
was
outside of
reserved
the
for the
group.
beauty queen.
Exactly, that was outside.
Because we had
completely-
said, we just got these 20 Jeeps, and we're gonna put you guys in the first 5 and the
So
other
that was
5.
completely outside of his group at that point.
Yeah,
He
so,
was
it's-
in group 1 and he picked the Jeep from group 5. And now
Right.
you had to
Back
move
there.
everybody together.
so we had to
in
move
group
the
one.
band, the body kids and
The
everybody so that we
alternative-
could get the council members'
The whole
car
The
up right front.
alternative would be for him, if you wanna be in group 5, then you're in group 5. We
But
cannot
we
use
have all
those.
the council members coming
I get
together.
what you
Yeah,
mean.
they have to be together.
So let me, let me figure out that part, but in terms of everybody.
But I'm
the
saying
beauty-
what made it work was as the parade organizers, we said, these are the VIP cars reserved for the VIPs.
No, I get your,
And
point.
we just, you're the mayor, the vice mayor,
but the
and if
thing
you,
is that we can't. it's a
but if
big
they
board.
want to go flip it over, but they had told us, I mean, I won't say everybody. 4 people told me wherever.
I understand, but I'm telling you what the direction that was given to me, we can't tell council not to move the car, unfortunately, right? That would make our life.
But in
so
other
much
words, they just said, like they do, they say, hey, just where do you want me to go? I said, that right here, council member. He said,
If
Well,
"Great."
that's what you're telling me, it wasn't the case with everybody. There
But what
was
it-
one or
well-
two that wanted to be wherever they wanted to be.
Well, because then they were given the choice of, oh, pick a car as well.
But that's what I'm saying, I think we have to, like, I don't think I'm allowed to tell you.
But
that-
it's much like if Fred Senra was supplying the Corvette and everything, they're not going, hey, go out here and pick what car. You're like, this is for the council members, pick, and because there was an order based on the sheet, it was a mayor, vice mayor, council member, 1, 2, 3. But then they ended up not observing that sequence and that threw us right, we hadn't even started the parade.
No, I
that
completely
threw us off.
understand now what happened, but I'm saying, like, let's say you have 6 Jeeps and 6 council members, right, in section 1.
Okay.
So it wouldn't matter so much if they pick within that group.
Right.
The problem
within that
is where
cluster.
they went and picked.
They went and picked the
that
way.
group
and
They
by-
pick the rest of the
These are-
park all the way
They
to the
said,
back.
these are your Jeeps,
Okay.
and then one person said, no,
Because we could handle if they were in the same group, that
Right.
you guys would be.
yeah, that was cool.
Yeah.
Like a big, we didn't want, I wasn't saying council member A had to go in car A, you could go in car A, B, or C, and then when we pull them out, we could, one, and then 2, but if you're in order, and we're going sequentially, all the
Okay.
bands, all the kids, the
Let me
karate
work on
horses.
Jeeps are number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
So what
6,
ended up
7.
happening, it wasn't
You take
1,
whichever
2,
you want with
3,
it.
it
This
was
seven.
7,
Yeah.
30,
Okay,
15.
within those 7.
Okay.
Within those.
Let
It has to
me
be parked
Figure out
here.
what we can do to control that,
You
but
can't
as of
move it,
right
you
now,
can't go in.
as of right now, I'm telling you the direction I was giving, and we cannot tell council that they cannot pick the cars. But I'll see what we can do,
Well,
at
they
least to
can
try to
within those
control
7.
it within the group.
Yeah, they can pick the cars.
Within
Within
gotta
the
park
car,
in the
but-
front.
Yeah, they pick, you pick
Order.
either one of these 3 or
I
these
will get
3.
back to you, I understand the sentiment, but again, I have.
But I mean, in other words, it was terribly disruptive because
Of course.
it was done at
I
the
can
last
see that.
minute with no consultation.
They held up the
And-
parade.
I mean, if you want to do
completely
that, the
understand.
way around it would be,
To
we
put
put
them
the
on
the council members out on the street. And when you come in, you don't go in the mix with the people here, and we have 6
But even
cars out
then, the
there.
other cars that are
It's
lined
too
up, they can
cluttered.
go and be like, hey, I want the first line.
It's too cluttered.
Yeah, then that's what ends up happening. They, oh,
Yeah.
I want this one, I want that
Okay,
one.
before, we used to have a different, okay, you know where the bank, all the cars were there for the, dignitaries, okay? And then you have your, the people from the parade,
Okay.
totally separate.
Okay.
So they can do whatever they want to work within that parking lot. We can do that.
But it would
again.
still be an issue because the beauty queen has Jeep in group number 5 and she's stuck in the middle and now the mayor
Everybody
wants
else
that
got
one.
whatever car we gave them, and they said, great,
Yeah.
wonderful. But the council members, with the decision that was made was to allow them to pick, which, and they said, I don't, just put
I
me wherever.
understand.
But once they were given the sign, said, well, I was told, you decide where. They said, oh, okay,
Okay,
that
I
one, or said, no,
completely
that
understand.
one's taken. Oh, what about, no, that one's not taken, and now they went back 7, 8
I
cars
understand.
and slapped it on there.
The idea, because now you have to put them back to all be together.
Yeah,
Okay, I completely understand. Thanks for explaining.
But
I
we're
will
gonna
work
work on that
because
side.
I
That's what I
can't
said,
make that
that's,
call. I have to
Yeah,
work
but when
with
there's
whatever I'm
tables and
told.
there's
So
people, there's
unfortunately,
volunteers
that's not my
and that,
decision.
yeah.
I will work on it,
Okay.
Chris, and hopefully.
But
we
it
can
has
have
to work
agreement.
that
Okay.
within
For
the
the
first
next-
7 cars,
okay.
they can play around.
I got it.
Here's the other
You get
thing.
all white cars?
Okay,
Everybody can
okay.
be there.
The first
Yeah,
7 cars.
no, but
That's it.
what we do need to do is that the first, whatever, 5 or 6 or 7 cars,
7
they
cars.
all have to be 4-door Jeeps, all the same. Different colors, but all
Pretty
the
much
same.
all the ones for council.
Because what happened last year is if they brought their family, they couldn't do a 2-door.
Mm.
They didn't fit.
And that would also mean you have to move it at that point. too.
Right,
Okay.
and then there was a 4-door Jeep available all the way
Yeah,
in the
but the-
back. and then
Well,
they
the
had-
difference was that the Jeeps showed up 2 hours before, and then the council members showed up 15 minutes
Yeah.
before.
Okay.
And so now were kind of stuck because they said, I have 4 people. But in other words, if they had shown up at the same time as the Jeeps, we could have said, okay, you're gonna be right here,
That's
but they
never gonna
didn't.
happen.
No, I'm saying, but your
All
idea
the
that,
same, that's brilliant.
Yeah.
All the same. So all
The
But we
problem
don't
is
have
that we're
that.
getting them donated
Yeah, they're
and there's,
donated.
and
No, no,
our
no.
inventory right now is.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, is
no,
it?
all
Yeah.
four, all the
Actually,
same in
we
terms of
used to
like
have
configuration.
How do we
All
work?
different
But okay,
televisions.
I'll figure that part out. I don't want you guys to
But
stress
he,
yourself
but
out.
there's
I
no
think we have time
inventory to
figure
do
it
it.
out. I'll
So
try to
we
work on that.
contacted the Jeep Club in Miami and they came and their roundup that they do. They
And
said,
they
we'll do, we'll come and do something with you guys and then later in the afternoon we'll drive off. And they had a lot of fun. They got to be in a parade with their Jeeps.
That's
Okay.
cool.
And then-
we need volunteer drivers.
Yeah, and they drove
It's
them
their
as well.
cars,
Yeah,
right.
okay.
Perfect, just because I wanna keep this moving on. I'll work on that for you. I can see how that's a huge deal.
It was a
So
huge
I'll work on it for
issue.
you, but in terms of everything else, I think we need to agree that anybody that you're going to the back, like, we cannot do that for everybody because then we'll never. I
We
can
didn't.
see-
But
Okay.
what ended up happening
No,
was
because
we
it
had,
sounded like it happened for.
no,
a few
but we
other
had
people.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then when 9 and 8 were picked, that left car number 1 empty. So we said, oh, now we have to stick somebody, the beauty queen from group
Yeah.
3.
No,
So
I
they just sat
completely
there for
understand.
an hour waiting for everybody, and then they were in the way
Yeah.
because the car that we had to utilize was in the back and this one. So really, it was just,
Okay,
you're in the
I'll work
parade, you're
on
getting
it.
a card that showcase you, you get the car, and you can, within the group of 4 or 5 cars, you can pick.
it's not our decision to make those, so I
Mm-hmm.
will work on it for you guys. Now, for everything else, I think we've agreed that they need to go wherever they're told.
Yeah.
And they
Um,
did.
Okay,
They all
They know
did.
what kind of disaster it is, they probably won't be so
yeah, maybe we'll
selective.
share.
Tell them why.
No, it was, yeah.
Tell them why.
What did I wanna mention? Oh, okay, the whole listing, you know how we lined it up? I think it was a good idea, cause you guys made sure to kind of bring a
That-
little fun here and a little fun there. and-
It was, yeah, and could you guys talk about that with the lineup of the band, the big item, the walking kids, because you divvied it up into
Yeah.
groups. Can you go over that?
No.
Because I'm not
Yeah, we
exactly.
just try to have a band,
Yeah, so that
ROTC,
Group kind of.
and then the club.
Every
We try-
group, there was 6 groups,
Right,
and
we
every
try to
group
have
got a
at least
band.
And a ROTC if we can.
Okay.
And that's gonna be my job is to contact ROTCs, even though we send it out, I'll call them
Oh, great, yeah.
and see who we can get committed. The
But I'm
only
sorry,
thing about-
the grouping was
The
that every
section.
group gets a band
The section.
or section.
Yeah,
Right.
6 section.
Let's use the right terms. Okay, section. Every section got a band,
And a ROTC or marching unit, whichever.
well, marching, right? Because
Right.
we didn't want to have 8 marching
Yeah,
all
yeah.
from the same high school and
Right.
then nothing for the
And
rest
back
of the
to back,
parade.
yeah.
Right,
So
Spread
it
Spread
was,
them apart.
and then we put all the big vehicles either in the front or the back, right? Because it was let off with some vehicles, and then we had at the end a helicopter and those police cars, the
I think they were at the end.
Officer Amador got
Well,
them.
those guys were supposed to be at the end, but they came at the beginning because somebody wanted them at the beginning.
Yeah.
So
I'm like,
I
you
need
guys
to
are
talk-
number 40, what are you
And they
doing
parked in
at the front?
And they parked
It's like,
on-
oh, we're
So
supposed to
I'll
go
talk
behind
to
whatever,
the
whatever.
neighbors, that's all I can do, and tell him to decide where he's gonna put.
Yeah, that wasn't
right?
up to him. Yeah, somebody else
No, but
decided.
I mean, if we go through him, he's gonna tell them where they go.
Yeah, because I think they sent it
I'll
to
ask them to
Miami
work
Dade,
with us.
yeah, whatever.
Oh,
In
I
other
know
words,
what you mean.
it was a
wasn't our-
police thing. It wasn't, or us. It was somebody from the Miami Dade Police came in and said, hey, we're with the specialty cars.
so
And
we
the
want to
specialty,
be up here.
Yeah.
And all the specialty cars are
Well,
gonna
when
be-
they sign up, we'll just figure out who they are and talk to them in advance, and be like, hey, we need you to help us, where do you
Mm.
wanna be, so we know in advance and we group you, instead of, waiting
Yeah.
until the last minute.
yeah, I didn't think that was a huge issue, those cars.
It wasn't a
moving
big
around.
issue.
I thought the
The issue was
biggest
the
issue
helicopter.
was the moving the council cars around. That was a huge issue. I thought.
Now, the one of the things that we did last year was like on 67, we parked all of the.
Yeah, that worked, right?
Yeah.
Last year they did that.
Helicopter and all
Yeah.
that.
Last year, previously, we had tried to get those in, and we said, no, because that whole 67 is closed. So we put all the big vehicles out there, so they didn't have to make that turn into Bull Run.
Right,
Is it?
right.
So they just stayed out on the main drag, group 1, they were in group 3, 2, and then they got the high sign. You're group 3, you're in, so they knew to go. Did somebody go and tell them, or they knew they were group 3? How did they know to join the band?
If I'm not mistaken, I think I was in the front in the corner.
Yeah.
So I was telling them.
So you knew when they were to go?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember somebody told me, hey, they're supposed to go, can you go tell them? And then I ran up to the truck, say, hey, that's your group. But I don't remember if we had something formalized.
Well,
Oh, we had cell phones.
Between me and.
Yeah, because
I was supposed to like,
I'm leading everybody outside of the parking lot,
Yeah.
and he was in 67 Avenue,
Uh-huh.
leading the people, you know, in from 67.
And the only thing I wanted to mention about that is like, yes, we'll do the groups because obviously you guys have a way to incorporate everybody so that it's fun and a little bit of everything in the group, but we do not have to stick to a number. It's kind of what I want to put out there for you guys. We don't have to stick to a number. Like if you're number 2 and you're number 3 and I'm number 4, we're all in group 1. I think we can kind of stick to whatever, just because there's some groups that are going to miss and not show up last minute. And now you're gonna have to stick them all the way in one? No. If you show up 25 minutes, like you're late, you're going to the back, no matter what our lineup is. With that said, if number 3 misses and now is in the back, we can't give him that
That's the
paper
problem.
because it's off.
Right.
So that's why I am asking everybody to bring a sign, because you're going based off the sign that the person shows rather than a list that might be outdated at that point. Does that make sense?
But what did they do? You have this already
Yeah, and
solved.
I just kind of, I made it up. I looked at it, it was Troop 344, but.
But
they
because
weren't
they
supposed
had
to
a
be there.
sign.
Yeah, right.
That's my point.
But
If
everybody
somebody
has
doesn't
something
have
on
it-
their car.
But it's
Right.
not everybody that's walking has stuff.
Didn't every.
Well, yeah, the cars
every
were fine,
person-
it was
Cars,
the
yeah.
individual groups he's talking about.
But
I'm
they,
not-
they didn't have something either? That
Yeah,
every
they
single
had
group-
the name
But he's
on
gonna
what
have
they
to be
were.
there,
Oh,
like, that's
okay.
what I'm
Yeah.
trying to, if you don't bring a sign, there's
Yeah.
no way that we're gonna magically know.
Didn't
who
you have an
are.
idea last time for something that updated automatically?
Yeah, but it's, look at how much, no, it's gonna,
Mm.
we're gonna do it, they have to bring a sign. We already put it as part of the form, and
Okay.
I am sending, those who I am
It
inviting
looks like a
back,
moth.
those who I am inviting back, I'm telling them, please bring a sign. If you do not bring a sign, we cannot guarantee that we will be.
Oh,
Calling
okay.
on you.
But did we give them the sign? Or you're
No,
talking
like, they
about a
have
big
to
sign?
bring
Yeah.
Whatever it is.
I thought we
something
had
that-
a, like a 8 by
Yeah,
12.
Yeah, some of them did.
No, but I
because
thought
had
we did. I
numbers.
thought you gave them a
Yeah,
number.
they have a number.
But
And
that's
so-
what I'm saying, we cannot do
You
You couldn't
numbers.
see the number.
One, it's a number, he has to go back to the list to see what the number
Well-
is, and second of all, if I'm number 12 and I don't show up, and I show up last minute and I still wanna be a part of the parade, you're gonna put me in the back, you're not gonna squeeze me all the way to the front
Okay.
last minute,
Uh-huh.
and now I throw off the list. That's why I think the number we shouldn't do,
Yeah.
because,
Well, you were a big advocate for the number last year.
well,
You were saying,
Yeah.
oh, no, hey, we always do it. And they just come running up and they give me the something or
Yeah,
other
sometimes they came up before.
but it's not
Yeah,
just him, it's MC in the front,
in the back.
I mean, in the back,
Yeah.
sorry,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, that was.
So it's
thrown off.
very
Because we
disorienting.
couldn't get that
You're right.
list
You
back.
need to be responsible for your name. If you want your name called out, you need to have it somewhere.
Mm.
And you're right,
Yeah.
because if they put number 3 towards the back because they came in late, if you're late, you're going to the back.
Yeah, and you can't
So
just move
if-
everybody just because
But-
I'm
but
But
number
what do we do
happens-
then? Just put the groups in sections, and then they line up wherever they
I
line
think
up?
we can do like a tentative, like how we want them, right? Because you have an idea of how they're gonna look best, you guys.
Mhm.
But what I'm saying is I don't think we have to stick to it 100%, because if 5 people from group 1 are late, what are you gonna do? Not,
We normally shove them into the parking lot area wherever they're lining up.
so you're okay with doing?
Yeah, I think the number's fine. I just can't think of
For
how it would
walking,
work
for
without.
walking
But I'm
people, not
still
for
asking.
driving people.
No, no, no. But
Listen, if you wanna like break your neck and figure, like, that's on you, but I'm not gonna expect the MC to do that, is all I'm saying.
I
I'm
just-
asking them for a sign.
But can you explain, because I'm now kind of like I'm not, see, what was the, because I wasn't involved in that at all, but what was the issue?
Because some people last minute were like, hey, I'm number 3 and now I wanna be with number 7.
Or like the
because
Boy
that's part of
Scouts,
my
the
group."
Boy Scouts were in 2 groups, group 1 or section 1 and 7. And then they said, no, but that's our sister group. We want to be up
So
there.
now the
So
list
now-
is no longer the same as
Right.
the one Charles has, and it's unfair to him to have to figure, so
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying, just bring, your name needs to be somewhere.
Okay.
On
Oh, I
your
see.
shirts,
All right.
like big and loud, on a
Oh,
banner,
okay. I
on a
get what you're
sign,
saying. Oh,
something,
good.
as
Okay.
you're coming, so like that, he
Yeah,
knows,
yeah, that's a good
he
idea.
knows on Main Street. who
Well, that's
to
an
call
excellent
out.
idea. Yeah.
And the person
no, I
at
get
the
it.
end.
Yeah, no, that's a great idea.
Yeah,
So a
so,
banner or a sign or
something
something,
to identify.
something to, like parade like. Yeah, yeah.
And
So, well,
then he'll know that if he's on number 7.
Oh, that's a
number
great
7
idea.
says such
Yeah,
and
yeah.
So and so, and this is what's coming, it's not number 7.
I mean,
That's-
every parade typically has a banner that they're walking,
Right.
so you know
Yeah.
We'll
who it
send
is.
them reminders.
Yeah, quite a
That's
few,
good. That's a
quite a
good
few
idea.
of them did that.
what I'm
Pardon me?
thinking about is.
Quite a few of them did
Yeah,
have.
okay. But
Well,
Lyle
number.
is saying that she's,
Well, we
can
she's
do
saying
that
it's a
number. I'm just
requirement
saying-
this year.
I'm
I've
not
been-
That's a
having
good
him
idea.
stick to the number
Oh.
to call him out.
Don't you have to say a bio about
We
the?
can stick to a number
when they
in terms of
pass-
organizing.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
tell
yeah,
her
yeah.
that
But I'm
about
saying
it.
that was
They
the
gave it
reason
to me.
We
why-
can't expect him to
The
Yeah.
new
Oh,
laws, I
okay.
think it was.
Okay.
And supposedly, we're supposed to have one of us, okay, supposed to be in front. Well, he did it a couple of times. Okay, they coming, right? So you go over there and say, what's your number? 43. Go back here, 43. So he will be ready. So when 43 pass by, he
Yeah,
can tell
I
them,
can-
otherwise, he will be looking into the buyer.
But you
Well, I
can
mean,
have,
if you
you
guys wanna task
you can
yourself
have
with
somebody
that,
there
that's
with a
fine.
walk-
I think both of them, they will be good.
can have
The only
somebody there
problem
with a
is
walkie-talkie.
that you can have a side, but if he cannot find the buyer, well, he's gonna say, hey, here's a Boy Scout.
Yeah, I'll make up some.
No, the idea is to, I'm sorry, if you don't have a sign, we can't guarantee that we're gonna call out your name. That's all it is.
And then some people don't bring the Bible, so I just call out the name. This is Boy Scout Troop number 224.
And that's it.
but you're calling it
And
from
also
the,
because it's not just
Yeah.
him, it's the
Yeah.
person in the back too, the last.
Yeah, that's the.
So then we need people running here and running there because the person decided not to bring a sign.
We, the numbers that we had, this was, we tried to detail these, and what I should have done, I apologize, should have printed this out because, it has like the little nitty, the stuff that Isle probably has on the computer, because she was very good about copying everything down, but the participants in 2018, we had 44 people sign up on this, for the parade. And then in 2019, we had 51 people sign up, which was a record to date. And in 2021, we had 44 people sign up in advance. And then by the time we actually kicked it off, we had 86 people, 86
yeah, remember,
groups. There was a huge rush in the last like 4 days and so just for people that weren't here, that they all went onto a spreadsheet like this. And then the night before, these 3 guys here that have been doing this forever, put them into sections like this. And then they simplified it even further with this list. So it went from this list, the sign in that they, do through the town, and Isle was running the show there. And then from that list, there was a big kind of the night before, 2 nights before on the table going through, and it was condensed to this list. And, corrections were made and people were calling and emailing, I want to be here. No, this wasn't the Great Explorers, it was the Grand Explorers. And we were changing, the names. And then by the time we got done, it was simplified like this list, yeah. But we had, the idea is that every year it's gone up. And that 2021 was the most we ever had. And that was following 2 years of COVID. And now there's already seems to be an interest with people contacting to be in the parade. So the expectation is that, it was a small town parade, but it's growing. And so I think you're right, we're gonna have to control it a little bit better, or it's gonna be a huge, because it's gotten too big for us to manage the way we were doing it before. So that signs is an excellent idea. Vehicles was the Jeeps, and then this is a little bit off of this agenda, away from what you have here,
That's
Isle.
fine, I just wanna remind you that at this point, we're coming close to our.
Okay, well, how about we wrap it up by 8 and we can always meet again, but the problem is we're getting.
No, it's fine, I just wanna make sure to
Yeah.
keep on the schedule, so, because we're coming up with 2 hour mark.
Yeah,
already.
because the parade's November 6th and today's what, the
Pretty much 2 months
13th,
out.
12th?
Yeah.
Yeah, so,
Yeah.
yeah. The Jeeps or the vehicles were gonna be supplied by Dave Johnson, the
person
Miami,
from last time,
yeah,
you
the
think?
Miami Jeep pull-up.
Okay,
He had committed some months ago I reached out just to say, hey, and he said, yep, when we get closer, please give me drop me a line, but which I haven't done, so I'll do that this week. And then we got 5 additional vehicles from the auto mall. I wonder, was that something you'd have any interest in being, or you have no?
No, I have no cars.
Okay. And then we used adhesive signs for the vehicles and we had the VIPs and then we had the committees. And there was something about the signs being different sizes, but you handled it. It wasn't the signs that we bought here, but people were saying they had old signs, they wanted to put their sign, not
Well, they should
magnet,
use the sign that we create
Yeah.
in a year, because things are always gonna be different.
not magnetic,
magnetic,
because some of the things
The
were
ones we did
off.
last year were correct, though, right?
They worked,
Yeah.
right?
They were,
yeah.
okay,
Even though I didn't handle them because they were being given to the council people themselves.
but they were
never
like the
saw-
Well,
correct material.
that wasn't the intent.
But they stuck, I think they
Okay.
stuck, so long as they're not metal, because the Jeep doors are plastic now.
That's what you,
And then the adhesive signs for the vehicles, we said who passes them out on parade day? And it was us, we had control of that at the registration table, save the council members. They got pulled separately. And that was kind of a last
We'll
minute
figure out what
decision.
to do
So
with
we're gonna decide, okay. The drivers for the committee vehicles come from the committees. Previously, there had been some thought they might come from somewhere else, but all, if they have a vehicle, that there's an expectation with what happened in years past, going to get the vehicles, people that got stuck with keys and then the parade was over and people didn't want
Yeah.
to drive them. and-
Last year we did committee members.
Yeah, and that's what I'm
That's
saying.
okay.
Yeah, I think committee members, if you're, whatever committee you're on, then you supply a driver. It's unreasonable to expect somebody else would supply your driver, I think. And then the military vehicles, the restored military vehicles, they wanted to park out here to display their vehicles, but we had closed off the street, so at the end, I think they went in the parking lot in the
We
back.
had them back here.
Yeah, in the parking
So
lot.
where
yeah.
is it that they want?
They wanted to be up here so that people could,
They
kind of-
can be there, but the problem is that people
Oh,
are.
it was the
passing by.
Grams, the parking here, and the people in these buildings had to move their vehicles.
We have people move anyways because we do sponsorship here and because the parade passes through
Right.
here. So that's fine, and the Grand Prix usually fine, and, letting us clear up for
Okay.
the 2 days before that. But the issue with those cars is that are they part of the parade as well?
Yes, so when they got done,
So
they
it's like-
said they like to talk about the vehicles, like a car show
No,
type
I
thing.
understand, so we have to figure out where to put them.
Right.
The problem is I can't put them smack in the middle because there's a group of people, what am I gonna do? Right?
Yeah.
Like, it has to be strategic about, if
Mm.
they're gonna be a part of the parade, then where are we gonna place them that they also wanna be, but it also makes sense because you have crowds out in the
Right.
street.
And last year, I think you're right, we put them in this parking lot here in the back. And I think they wanted to be out, somewhere. They said, oh, but that was when the parade was smaller. And it lent itself to them parking
So
where
we have
people
to
could see
figure out
them.
where to put those, what are they called, the restored?
It was
Restored military?
restored military vehicles.
And those guys, one of the things that happened last year, those guys have to be put in the back. Because one of the karate, the little kids that were walking that came late because they said that they never received the invitation to come to the parade. And they got put in the back and they were like, listen, we're not gonna walk these kids behind these vehicles
No,
with all these fumes and all
Oh,
this
that
stuff
was
coming
something,
out.
right, yeah.
So they got put in front of the
Yeah.
vehicles. Those guys have to be at the very end.
So who goes at the end, the military
The
vehicles
military
or
restored
the?
vehicles.
The horses.
Or the horses?
The horses.
The
We
horses
didn't have
were
the
the
horses out
last.
there, but I know they're gonna come
Yeah,
back.
horses are last.
Horses are usually.
So
last.
military second to last.
The parade was divided into
You've been
6
You know the
sections.
horses?
And you
Yeah,
guys
that's
were,
why I'm
Or the
asking
last
you.
side for the horses, I don't know.
you're gonna be in charge again this year of doing the same? Because the
Yeah.
three of you had a very good sense of band, marching, kids,
Horses.
band, marching kids. So every section was about the same, and so you got a fair mix. If you were watching, oh, here comes a marching band, oh, here comes right?
Yeah, section.
The Saturday before, we.
Okay.
Section.
This
Now-
year will probably be not
The,
the Saturday before, I'm sorry, because I will be out
Okay,
unless I can get someone to fill in that Saturday and come do it with you guys.
well, the Saturday before, you mean the night before?
The night
Okay.
before. I will not be here.
Are you gonna be here for the parade?
Yes,
Oh, okay.
but I will not be here the day before.
but the problem is that we need to, because
So you
sometimes
want the
people
final
show
list?
up, exactly.
I'll just
so-
confirm that I can get someone to fill in, that's
Okay.
all. I just
Alright.
don't know 100%.
If we can keep it as much as possible
Similar
similar to last year, because, they
I'll
already
figure
know
a
where
lot
to
of
line up.
breaking down.
Yeah.
We had sponsored tents last year. We had the Autumn Mall, the Graham Catholic Hospice, and Anna G. Mendez University. And then we had 2 NGOs, Mission United and Army Recruiting.
So
And
I'll
then-
share the
And then, yeah, it's
information.
parking for display cars. It was the street or the parking lot behind Town Hall, and we went with the parking lot behind Town Hall, I guess. The other thing was the audio, the sound system. The town of Miami Lakes contracted with Light FX
Yeah.
Pro. You're gonna do that this year? or-
Yeah, but they're an issue first.
Pardon me? No,
Oh, I
I was
thought
just
you-
going through, and then electrical outlets was, where would they add on the main street, because there was some question. And
But they're
remember,
all in
and you
the same
identified them, they
place, yeah.
identified them,
Yeah,
yep.
Yeah.
And then the music for the routine, you had suggested the MP3.
Well, that was the
and
other,
then-
that's
and
the
then,
question for you guys.
And then, yes, Colonel James had said, no, just give me a plug-in,
Like
we'll work
they
whatever.
run it,
It's
they
on
run,
drive.
they run it.
It's on
and
drive.
then
Yeah,
running
right,
on-
but you
Yeah,
had
it's
said,
on drive.
I mean,
download
is
it.
it okay, as long as it's okay with you?
It worked last time because
It's on
the guy
drive,
had,
that's all we
he
did,
had,
yeah.
So whatever, it was a CD or a disc or.
Lyle had the idea of being, streamlining, so when you submitted your registration, you
brought
got
that
put
with you.
into an
Right.
electronic, playlist, and they could just press your music instead of having to do, CDs and,
Right.
and 45s and
But
everything
the
else.
guy was there that did it. It worked, okay.
I can tell you that this was also their recommendation because now they're like, figuring it out.
Oh,
as it
okay.
comes.
So they
It's
like
really
the-
not
They
practical.
like the way you. okay,
No,
so-
no, they
okay.
would want people to turn it in.
Oh, they would?
Yes,
Oh, okay.
I
In an
understand that
MP3
we,
format. I remember that was you, you made that point.
or in a USB, but just in
USB,
advance of
yes.
the parade starting,
Oh,
not
okay.
like, as they're coming
Oh, all
up.
right.
We'll push for that. I understand it might not happen for some.
Oh, so
people.
just in any format, USB or. MP
Yeah,
You had,
yeah.
I remember you had said, hey, MP3.
Because
let's-"
MP3 in advance, but if they do it the morning of, whatever,
Yeah.
it's still in advance of them, being
Okay.
in the front of it.
Yeah, I turned
But-
it in.
And then, and so they were supposed to email it to you no later than like a couple days
Yeah, that
before, and that
happen.
didn't
One
happen?
person
Okay.
did it.
Oh, my God.
And then, 1 out of 86. And then the other alternative was hand carry thumb drive to Mr. James
Which
day
is what
of.
they ended up doing, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
And I
That
gave
worked.
them to the
We'll work
technician.
with it.
Yeah,
All
they
right.
put it in.
And then we had the bleachers, and
That you guys said that people didn't use them.
I did, I don't, is that what we said following the?
No, because somebody made a comment that it was too hot and people didn't even want them, that we should save the money and we shouldn't use them. That's
Oh,
based
I
on my
did-
notes.
Okay.
Is that the sentiment? Because we found pictures of people using them.
Yeah, I think people were saying that they got off and were standing in the shade against the building.
So should we move the location of the bleachers?
Maybe that might be a
Although I
better
don't know how
way.
they're gonna feel about us
Move
putting
the
them on the
trees.
grass, but-
Yeah, I don't know, I wasn't up there. Mr. James, were you up there?
Well, I don't think we had any bleachers near where I was, I saw it.
They were off to the side of,
Right.
the Main Street.
Right, right, yeah, I saw
Yeah.
that.
They were like there where the Verizon is, I believe.
Or where the Arepa place was, which is now something else.
No, the opposite.
Oh, on the
where
other side?
Verizon is, I
Oh,
believe.
okay. Yeah.
But we have time to think about it. I
Okay.
mean,
But that lady fell, I think it was around that area.
Oh,
Question, sorry.
water.
Do we have the, I mean, were we gonna order the flags?
Yep.
The-
That aisle was ordering the
yeah, I
flags.
have an amount here that you guys
No.
suggested.
yeah.
Oh, to pass out the small little flags.
You
No,
guys asked for
no, the
2,000.
flags, the
Yeah, we had the little ones that we were passing out.
No, the section one.
Like,
You're gonna have-
for the
one
parking
that-
area, they have.
Oh,
Oh, we wanted to get
Stickers.
signage.
Yeah, we wanted to do that sign right behind Lourdes, that, remember it was suggested
Signage
that we
could
have
reuse
those?
here.
Because because last time we had, I've got it here,
They-
we had this as kind of,
Mhm.
like registration and there was this sign.
Yeah.
But we said, if we could put it on that, although,
Yeah, signage
you-
that we could use here.
right, but you had made the point that it needed to be elevated because once everybody was kind of walking, they're not gonna see that
I think
sign.
you said like the.
And
floating
registration
things.
and volunteers
That
need
was
to be
super,
separate
yeah,
because
super.
there was a
Yeah.
big
Like,
mix,
like-
right?
like-
With,
yeah.
with registration and volunteers together, it was a mess.
But they're like $800 each.
no,
Not each.
six
bro.
of them. Six of them.
Oh, all six of
Yes,
them.
about 137.
But these signs,
Yeah,
oh, those.
So for
Yeah,
which,
yeah,
can you
yeah.
guys
Why?
break
Is that
down?
the same as that?
Sticks in the ground.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, so I'll pull them
Sorry.
up and bring them next.
We
Six
were,
feet high.
we were in cement,
I'll pull
so
up
we weren't
options
in the
and bring
ground.
them next time.
There's
Okay.
no ground.
Oh, okay. Because
Right.
we, again, we don't have a lot of
Some of
time, so when are we
Oh.
meeting again? In a couple of weeks? or-
Yeah, I will send out a date.
Okay,
These are
But I can get you guys
137.
quotes. And we have local signs that, of people that we use, so we can talk to them if anything.
oh, right, and somebody had volunteered, I don't know what sized signs, but they said, we love, I'm a sign guy, I own a sign company, I'll make signs, as many signs as you want. I'm sorry.
I'm still gonna be. in
What's his
charge of
name, Merkel?
volunteers.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, we still have
I
a
actually
volunteers.
have,
Judy, why don't you just hold it and give it to him, or we can invite him to come. Yeah, okay.
I have a list of duties to be done, but after speaking, I think I need to, edit it.
Okay,
Because now we've taken out some things and added some things, so I will distribute this in a
Okay.
Google format.
okay,
And you guys fill out, we do need people volunteered, and I don't mean just like we're talking about it,
Mm.
like actually putting it down.
Right,
to
the
make sure that
names,
nothing
right.
gets missed. So I'll share that link with you guys.
okay, going on this list of water, the American Legion donated 20 cases of water. Publix, I thought they were gonna be our big sponsors, they gave five cases of water, I couldn't believe it.
I have here 620 water bottles, is that what we want?
Is that what we estimated we used based on,
I
what
think we were short on.
we
water.
ended up, well, remember we had water dropped off here,
Yeah.
and because we had no volunteers, we had nobody to bring it
That's
over.
part of my task.
Yeah,
this year.
okay.
I thought there was, didn't certain volunteer.
But that's the
Yeah,
problem,
yeah,
that
they
they
did,
were
but-
already stationed, but nobody brought. the
Yeah, they were
water
there
to
by
them.
themselves with no water.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we kept them at the building where the. Star
Well, there was some
Wars-
confusion about, yeah, we said we'd bring water, go pick it up, yeah. that was
And
the
the
issue.
volunteers, then I give it to them.
And
they
then
go there.
we should have some water.
But
by
do
the
we-
volunteer
So far.
registration.
But,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it's unfair to keep asking people to donate water. We have a budget.
So
We
the
can go buy it,
problem,
right?
so that's the point, I mean, with sponsorship dollars, we can,
Okay.
if you guys wanna try, now that we're well in advance and people can probably plan for it, we can ask,
Mm.
but if not, we can buy it, we can make sure to buy it so we have it, if
Yeah.
we don't get it.
It would be nice to have water. I
Of
mean,
course.
like these events that we did,
Yes,
this
they
past
didn't have
weekend,
any.
Headquarters Toyota donated, several cases of ice and had guys bring it out, which again, I'm very appreciative. Thankfully, Judy is part of it and took the initiative, but otherwise, that was a
Somebody here-
hot day with no water. so.
Water for cert stations that were missing last time, water for the volunteers registration,
Mhm.
and where else? did we miss?
We said CVS and Town Hall.
Well, that's cert, that's where those
Yeah,
cert
right,
stations
mhm.
were.
And then we said no ice because we thought that ice would be, I don't know, by the time they got, that was, the
Yeah.
group said no ice. I think it was this section over here. Kelvin, was
Well,
that you
yeah.
that said no ice?
I don't think so, but the ice will melt anyway. right?
Yeah.
Well, you,
Yeah.
when you
Unless it's
do
dry
it,
ice.
any type of
I
water.
have a question for you guys, Miami Lakes Police Department is part of what, the parade or just the ceremony?
We had that the honor guard would lead the parade. And then we also had traffic control with the barricades and the street.
No, yeah,
closures.
that has to happen,
Okay.
right? We're already working. on
And
that.
then we got the Miami-Dade Police Department bringing those specialty cars. So they were part of the parade. They had six, an autism car, a recruiting
So
car,
ask them for special.
say no to drugs car. Yeah.
But, I mean, in
And
terms
that
of
was
the honor guard.
Officer Amador did that. Officer Amador would lead the parade with the honor guard. And he was also the POC for the helicopter and the specialty
But
vehicles.
do the honor guard just the parade, or do we need the Miami Lakes Police Department for the ceremony
no.
as well? That's the question.
No, no, there's
okay.
no.
Yeah, he let
Only the
off the
start.
parade, the honor guard let off the parade and did something in front of
Right,
the main
Presented
stage.
colors, yeah.
And then they left and they were
Okay.
done.
they presented the color.
Anything else?
Yep, the press coverage, that's gonna be handled by
Well, we do press releases for all of our events.
like the Laker and all the local channels, and then Ghani
Well,
Films.
that's,
had-
remember with the channels, is that it's up to them to come. All we
Yep,
can do is
yep.
send them.
We send them the invite, right? But Ghani Films we had last year,
I reached out to him today, I'll let him know,
Okay.
I'll let you know.
and we
if
paid
he's
him.
Yeah,
It was an
we paid him.
abbreviated,
Yeah,
very
he does do it
abbreviated.
at a good rate.
Yeah, I
But-
mean, because previously we've done like a 5-10 minute segment. I think this was like a 2-minute.
But he
segment.
stays for the whole, he catches for
Yep.
the whole parade.
I know, but when his final product was a very short.
Oh, yes, of
Yeah,
course.
I mean, we, not that we wanted it to be short, it
Oh,
ended up
you
being
want it to
short
be longer.
because we only paid him $200.
So what would be so that I can?
I don't know,
speak to
would
him
you
about
say
purchase?
5 minutes, 8 minutes, kind of capture the, so I mean, it's just gonna be on social media and then it's an effort to kind of advertise for the town, just get up to 5 minutes? I would defer.
For
I guess.
social media, 5 minutes is a lot.
Yeah, but you
Yeah,
have to,
but
if it's
yeah,
for
90
social media,
seconds.
like,
You want-
5
you
minutes.
have to-
Oh, I was thinking, he had it on YouTube.
YouTube.
Yeah, it was on YouTube.
so how long would you?
I would defer to Jonathan. I thought 2 minutes was way too short. It barely captured.
Well,
got a
2
few
minutes
people.
I mean, your average, Joe on
Attention
social
span.
media, I'd say 2 minutes is all right. If you're going to YouTube. it's-
This is a historic reference, not necessarily an advertisement or that this is to,
Right.
show like, you see the arborist, giving a little something or other and many other venues in town. So it seemed like,
I mean,
Think 5?
5?
Think
I'd say
is too many?
5. I
I
thought
think
5.
5 is fine.
Okay, so I'll get a quote for that.
And then we had identifying the VIPs, that was a little bit problematic. Only because we didn't get response from, it's not the big guys, the Marco Rubio and the Diaz Villar, but it was all the commissioners and the state
Oh, that's what I was gonna
representatives.
ask you, I know you guys wanted invites to them last year, can you, somebody be tasked with giving me a list of who you want us to reach out, so we can do it from now and get it on their calendars?
I mean, I can go with
No,
what we
I'm
had last
asking
year.
because, Okay, yeah.
But
that
I
works.
assume that you guys, you guys, the
We'll
G
send it out.
men and women had the government people, you guys had kind of
Yeah,
the
there's-
short
But that's the
list.
point, so we can have the mayor's office and that. I just
Okay.
wanna know
Yeah.
who you want it in.
But do you
line.
have, I mean, I don't know if we really have.
Well, last year you guys were very specific about sending and making sure that we didn't miss, so in terms of like making sure I don't miss anyone, I wanna make sure you send
Okay,
me a
I
list.
can tell you who we had. Well, I'm sure you probably have it, but I don't mind putting it together. and
Yeah, you
sending
can
it.
just send it to me.
Okay. And he was a
Anybody
veteran,
that's
so he
coming
would be a
up
good
or-
grand marshal. Yeah, okay.
Just send me a list of
Volunteer.
who you want, to come out of them, so like that the mayor can send it out, and you know, it's
Okay.
better to send.
All right, music following the ceremony. Because we have the closing ceremony, which is its own entity, separate, kind of separate, but not from the parade. And then, which I think we've identified how we're gonna do that. And then the music, it said following the ceremony, Matter Lake Academy. But Judy, you have a
I
line
don't
on,
remember what that was.
it was somebody, they were just playing kind of after.
Yeah, they
the-
weren't, they weren't here.
I don't remember.
They weren't here.
They were gonna be playing music after the fact, while
But they
people
weren't,
were,
no, they.
they didn't make it, but
No.
the idea was that they were supposed to,
Right.
and then they canceled at
Yeah,
the last
Willie
minute.
talked about that.
Okay, so we don't want music?
No, it's up to you, I don't know what you're talking about, is what I'm saying,
It just said there was gonna be something following the ceremony that,
but people leave immediately after the
yeah, like,
ceremony.
I don't know, I think it was supposed to be like a trio or a conjunto where they just
And they
played,
never came.
yeah, like a violinist and some, just some kind of nice music as people, Talking.
Like every school in the whole community is coming.
yeah.
My school.
But I'm
here,
saying that it was a smaller group,
but yeah,
like a little,
Yeah, usually.
I don't know what that's called, but whatever.
Yeah.
A harpist or something,
Little duo or
Yeah,
trio or.
oh, there was that family, that played at the Hialeah?
Oh, the Rivera,
Yeah, so,
Reba.
okay, so we'll revisit that, because I know it's getting late. Volunteers sign in, we're reporting to you, Lourdes, and that's when they got the T-shirt, and they were supposed to sign out on departure, so that worked.
A lot of
Master?
them didn't sign out, but we
Well,
give them to the end of the
And we'll
parade.
do a debrief ahead of time this
Right.
year, okay,
Okay,
I mean, a brief before that.
When they don't sign out, you just give them to the end.
Well, I don't.
Tomorrow.
Some of them
okay.
like
Make
very,
it enter.
right.
and I had people that like came, sat down,
No,
ate,
but
and
some-
then signed
Thank
out.
you.
A lot of them signed out, but a lot of them did not.
These signs, we thought, not for the registration and the volunteers, because I remember Nancy said it needed to be high, and I think Lourdes, you said that as
Yeah,
well.
'cause you can't-
You had something, but nobody
Nobody
could see it. But you guys said that those signs were perfect for the parking lot, to put parking area 1, 2, because people were
Sections.
walking and they didn't,
Sections.
sorry, I keep saying
Sections are fine.
sections,
Yeah.
yeah. But if we do sections, we have the placards, there's 2 over at the,
We have 2 and there are 2.
yeah,
two
but
others.
they actually have an insert, like here, it's kind of glued to the thing, but the ones
No,
that,
but you can put a sign, we did it for cultural affairs, they
Okay.
just got the dimensions of that and they put it over it.
oh, okay, because Gary actually has one that has, that actually allows
If
you
you
to
give
have.
us the dimensions, we
Oh.
can make the signage to that size.
Oh, okay.
They have to
His sign actually is
Well,
meant
you
to be
need more,
taken on and
no?
off. Yeah, we need more. That's what I was getting at.
If
And I looked up, there's a number in the top left, and I think
Mm-hmm.
Gary, you priced it, I think it was like, you sent me, I think, $200 for
No,
2.
for both of them, 300 and almost 400. The sign itself plus the sandwich board.
Right, the sandwich board.
Yeah.
The sandwich board is like 125,
Well,
but then
maybe
you
we can get,
Or
maybe it
just-
doesn't have to be that, like cardboard.
get, yeah, right, just get
sturdy
the cardboard thing and forget about the sandwich board.
one. I'll work, we have local signage people,
Okay.
I'll ask them, so it would be 1 through 6, right? Or
Right.
1
five.
through 6?
And for registration and volunteers, something that people can see.
That's the one that's there.
No.
Yeah, the
we got
Gary-
2
yeah,
tall
like a-
volunteers
yeah.
to hold the sign.
Yeah, it's a
Oh.
whole one. And you guys had said the waving thing, but
Right.
the waving thing will just catch their attention. It doesn't tell them what's there, right? Yeah.
No, we have to say registration.
And then where would they go? Because you said it was, didn't work being together. We all decided that in the bank of that medical parking lot,
That's
was-
fine, but it has to.
but it
be-
couldn't be there, you said, because that's where everybody's going to line up. So we put it across the street.
That was the funny thing. We used to have it there and everybody would get there, right? So we move it, to across the street and everybody went to across the street.
So what
We'll
in
do
the
a
end?
walkthrough a week and a half before, 2 weeks,
The bank
figure it
works.
out.
Well, the bank
We're
works,
at the
here it
bank.
works.
The,
There it works.
what the way they did it last year was new. Because based on the recommendations of the guys that have been doing it, they said if we did it in the marshalling area, that everybody crowded that
Yeah.
area and it got confusing
Yeah.
because there were people that were starting there, that was their marshalling area. And then there was people that were walking through and
Yeah.
kind of, and then people just saw people standing around, so they just stood around because they didn't know they were
A couple
supposed
years
to
ago,
go.
that was a mess.
Well,
That was a mess.
schedule-
But last year was pretty
Last year
good.
was pretty good, only we need to separate the tables a little bit more, like registration and volunteer.
Okay,
We need to separate them a little bit more, and we need to have signs that say that's registration, this is volunteer.
okay. And then you reached out to the bank, I think, to ask if we could use their parking
We
lot.
have to ask them if we can use it, but we didn't use it last year,
Yeah.
because we were on the
Oh,
sidewalk.
that's
We weren't
right.
in there.
We avoided that by staying on
Yeah.
the sidewalk.
That's what happened.
But
was
Yeah, because they're not using, that's not a drive-through anymore.
Yeah.
People
Back
would
is
stand
not
in the
there.
volunteer line and wait in the volunteer line when they really want to register.
And then when they got to the front, they like, oh,
Oh,
and then now you have to
right.
go, yeah.
Okay.
I would reach out to the bank, ask if we could use their money.
Yeah.
Which bank?
It
Wells Fargo?
used to be.
It used to be Chase. Oh.
Okay, so I'll bring you guys quotes on the signage.
Okay. Is there anything we kind of rehashed what we've done in years past, but is there anything that we have as due outs that we need to kind of make decisions on, or with the Grand Marshal that's going forward? Oh, the money to advertise. What do we need to do to move that along rather than,
Bring it back to the regular committee. I mean, this with the minutes and what you guys are voting on now needs to be taken back to the committee. The committee needs to make that decision.
okay,
and-
but the next committee meeting isn't until October 6th.
Well, there will still be time then, to do advertising. If you want, that's one of the techniques I was saying, if you wanted to see how it plays out now. to see
Oh,
if
right,
it-
right, right. Good.
And then from that, you can see, hey, we need to spend 50, 100, whatever you want to
Okay,
spend.
yeah, that's a good point. All right.
Just make sure to add it to the agenda.
Okay, and then do we need, we're missing several people from our Veterans Committee. I don't know, do we need, other than so that they have some awareness, and one of the things that we had talked about was last year, trying to get them in the parade, then it left us shorthanded on the backside, so the expectation could be that you're on the Veterans Committee to be the backside support, not be in the
Not on
parade. Yeah, so if you
Well, I think
take,
you can have some and some. I just don't think it can be all.
I'll be on the
like-
backside.
that's-
And also you just use your volunteers if needed then.
yeah.
You just have to plan accordingly.
But, and the kids were, they were willing, but they didn't really, they're kind of,
The problem was
I
that there
don't-
wasn't enough tasks, and there wasn't nobody to take them to where they were supposed to go.
oh, that was the other issue.
We're gonna
Right.
brief them this time.
No, but they
We're gonna
ended
have
up
a-
showing up at
They would
Lourdes,
ask me.
but I needed volunteers, but I was
But
here.
that's why we're gonna have a meeting between us. That's
Okay.
something that we need to discuss of where we need them, because we didn't do that last year. We just said volunteers. This time it's,
Mm.
okay, if you're asking for a volunteer because you're gonna be at that station, what are you gonna have to do? That needs to be discussed way in advance.
And then we limit,
I
we-
need to know who to send
Yeah.
where, because they're coming and signing up with me, and then they're asking me, so where do we go?
Yeah,
And
exactly.
then I'm saying, okay.
We need to
well,
have a meeting. about
Okay.
that.
is that it? Do we need
Walkie
to?
talkies, did you,
Is
Sorry?
the walkie talkies?
ever tapped for this?
And
And like giving neighbors?
We
Um,
can put it right up his ear.
we used them for something, but I think Gary had asked them to support the 9/11 event. And they said that they needed something in writing signed by a staff member from the town in a memo format. It couldn't be just in response to new rules. So they said, well, we're gonna apply the same rules to the way you request, so no more is it, I know somebody who knows somebody, now they want it in official format with, time sealed, and then 3 in triplicate, and one has to go to
Well,
distro.
I'm
Or
sorry,
giving
I'm not
gators,
following.
giving gators, if you need volunteers, or we
Yeah,
already
yeah,
have tons.
He has to come.
we usually, she'll let me know, and if we need them, she can send them. people.
I will tell you that the folks from Barbara Goldman, they're gonna be dancing, they're gonna be marching in the
They're
parade.
gonna be marked.
They were
But
fantastic.
No, but those are
Anasoto-
different.
But Anasoto is volunteers, and the marching band is totally different.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Maybe we can get
I can
Anasoto.
reach, I can. let them
But
know.
no, but she wanted her National Honor Society folks
Oh.
to
Okay,
march in the parade.
all right.
Yeah.
But they've got plenty of volunteers already.
Hmm. No, but I mean, they were fantastic for our
I'll
last
send
event.
out an email to my volunteers,
But-
my team volunteers.
Well, one of the cautionary notes would be that we don't want to have an overabundance, for, like you point out, 300
No.
volunteers, when we only need about 70. And
Exactly.
so we give out 300 shirts and then they're just wandering around and don't know what
Don't
to do with.
and not doing anything.
Yeah.
Well, they can sign up and when we have our meeting, then we can decide, yes, we need at 30 signed up, but we only need 10, those are the 10 we're calling.
Exactly,
That's it.
exactly.
All right.
I don't have one.
So basically, we're doing things pretty much the same way as we've been doing them. That's what we decided.
But more organized.
Yeah, but yeah, at least we have a sense of exactly, where it's going. So, all right. Well, that will close the meeting then, Isle, at 8:20. Yeah. I don't think we,
I'm not.
I know we don't have to do the motion and all that, do we?
Well, no, you have to motion to adjourn.
All right,
Second?
okay.